Welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland, and tonight's guest is Dave Emmons. He's an alien contactee and experiencer. He's also a host of his own radio program. You can check it out at KCOR. We'll talk more about that tonight, but we have had a number of alien contactees, abductees on. I've read over his notes from his experiences. This is going to be truly an amazing story tonight. You don't want to miss. His first time on the show. A lot to talk about on these experiences. And maybe a little bit of speculation what's going on right now in the world. Maybe some connection to it. I don't know. We'll find out. I don't know. There's a lot going on in the world, isn't there? Another month. April 30th, they're saying we're going to be quarantined or whatever, social distancing. Sucks the energy right out of you. Well, that's why you're here tonight, to get away from all that crap. I don't know about you. I've had friends reaching out and saying, hey, I haven't seen or heard from you. Yeah, I put my phone down. I don't know about you either, but I've been staying away from Facebook and social media. I'm just chilling with my family, enjoying what I can do, around the house, get stuff done, Maybe I'm not getting stuff done as fast as my wife would like, but anyways, I'm not interested in all the conspiracy theories, all the stuff going on with, the whole situation. I want to, hope for the better future. I'm hoping it's coming. Maybe. Let's hope. But I want to take our minds away from that. And I do have a couple stories in the World Wide Web Weird, but that are COVID-19 related, but they're funny. But there's a lot of other weird stories we're going to get to, because that's what we're here. We're here to think about the big picture, the bigger picture of things, because we're going to get through this, people. It'll be over eventually, maybe April 30th, I don't know. But come tonight, join us. We're going to talk about aliens and Dave Emmons' experience with them. And later on, you can call into the show as well. And if you've had an alien encounter or experience, please share tonight. And ask Dave any questions you would like along that subject. But let's go ahead and get rolling into the show. Welcome to another night of Paranormal Soup. As I said before, I'm your host, Jason Bland. Tonight's guest is Dave Emmons. He is here with us now. He's going to join us for the World Wide Web of Weird. How you doing tonight, Dave? Gotta unmute. Okay.
I did that, but I had a pen in my hand and I had a hard time grabbing the mouse. Okay.
Gotcha. I'm stay on your toes.
I stay on my toes. If I did that, I got a gnarly toe. I don't know about that.
But thank you for joining us tonight, Dave. We're going to get into your whole experience after the World Wide Web of Weird. I'm really excited to have you on. It's an honor to get to talk about this. And it's truly a subject I'm interested in, because I've had some of my own weird experiences, and learning from other people who've come out like you have about their alien contactee or abductee experiences is helping me discover some of the weird experiences I've had that might be alien related. So thank you. I'm so excited to talk to you tonight.
Yeah, we'll put the puzzles together.
Yeah, there's a lot of puzzles. And of course, my beautiful co-host, Jamie D, is joining us. How you doing tonight, Jamie?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here and super intrigued after talking to them. And
appreciate it. Yes, I know. I had to stop, Dave. A lot of good stuff there. We don't want to roll it out. We want to hold that in so the audience gets it. I don't want to know. I want to be surprised too. And also from St. Augustine, Florida, is Rob Autry himself, running the World Wide Web Weird. How you doing tonight, Rob?
Doing great. Looking forward to the subject tonight for sure.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot to cover, a lot of weird. But speaking of weird, we got a lot of weird to get to. I like I said, it's been hard to get worldwide web weird stories. Everything's COVID-19 related. Everything's there's weirdness out there, of course. It never goes away. But it's been hard for me to get stories, and it's hard for me not to ignore the elephant in the room. So we're gonna get the COVID-19 stories out of the way, but I only pick fun ones. Only fun ones. Not that this thing's fun at all, but let's go ahead and roll into the World Wide Web of Weird. Tonight on the World Wide Web of Weird, like I said, we're going to cover a couple of COVID-19 weird stories. And the whole thing's weird. It all seems surreal, but there's some definitely funny, weird stories going on in COVID-19. I got a couple of them here. The first one, quarantine man sends dog to store with note for Cheetos. Dog delivers, from iHeart.com. It's hilarious. For those listening on our Paranormal Soup radio network, we are a webcast. You can watch the videos or see the pictures we show, but if you want to just listen, I try to narrate as best as possible. So the first story here is a quarantine man sends dog to store with note for Cheetos. Dog delivers. With the coronavirus spreading so quickly, many states have ordered their residents to stay in their homes because any tiny time you leave, you risk getting COVID-19 or potentially giving it to others. That's not just the case in America, but in countries across the globe. Blah blah blah. Antonio Munoz was really craving Cheetos, but not wanting to interrupt his self-isolation, he decided to send his best friend to get them, his pet chihuahua, Chokis. I know, Chokis. Antonio sent Choki, is that Chokis? I don't know how you say this dog's name, to the store across the street with the money in his collar, along with the note that read, "Hello, Mr. Shopkeeper. Please sell my dog some Cheetos, the orange kind, not the red ones. They're too hot." She has $20 attached to her collar. Warning, she will bite if not treated right. Your front neighbor.
Yeah.
Seriously, this. Go ahead, Dave.
Jason, I thought dogs only delivered beer.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, right. But delivering anything in this. Last week we covered the drone. The guy who used a drone to walk his dog. I thought that was ingenious. But now we're sending the dogs out to go get our food. This dog. Look at this dog's face.
Yeah,
It's like. I am scared to death. I mean, what did he do? He must live right down the street. Just send him down the street. I would never send my dog to do something like that. It's a well-trained dog, though, if he brought it back. But the dog found his way to the store and actually returned with the Cheetos in his teeth. Antonio shared the photograph for all. I forgot to put the photograph up of the dog with the Cheetos. He really did get the Cheetos. Antonio shared the photograph for all on his Facebook page with the caption, "Day 3 of quarantine, I wanted my Cheetos."
How'd the dog handle the money?
Right? Did he get the change? I think he paid $20 for Cheetos.
Oh,
They didn't say about getting the change. I think the guy paid $20 for Cheetos. Price gouging, but the dog kept the rest.
He really
Let's move
wanted
on.
those Cheetos.
Yeah.
You know how
Speaking of, we talked about the drone last week, giving the dog. A lot of people are using drones now for stuff. We were talking about the police using drones, right, in Spain. Well, a drone pilot flies drone with a roll of toilet paper across San Francisco to quarantine friend in need. When you need that TP, this is the post from Ian Chan. When you need that TP, but Amazon is out and you're not supposed to leave your house, Tech San Francisco doesn't fail. Thank you, Chinosaurus, for the speedy cross-city delivery. I owe you one. All right, go ahead and play the video. This is what we come to, people. Drones delivering rolls of toilet paper. Should have gave him like one square just to be a jerk. I can only spare a square.
Yeah.
But what are friends for?
Wow.
Thank you.
All right, that's it that I got for weird coronavirus stories or funny ones. We're going to move into the real weird stuff, the stuff I really want to talk about and get away from the whole idea of the coronavirus and all that crap. This next one is a Bigfoot sighting. Like I said last week, talking about drones, to me, drones are going to be the ultimate way. If Bigfoot is a real physical creature, I swear the way we're going to catch these things is with drone technology. And we could just scan a woods with drones. They make them silent, that's what I think. But this one from North Carolina, a man was left visibly shaken last week following what he says was an encounter with Bigfoot. I found this on Coast to Coast AM. There's a local media report, too, for it. According to the local media report, the unnerving incident occurred in the past Friday afternoon in the community of Littleton as Jesse Walker was taking out his trash. Now, there's a video attached to this. I'm not going to play the video. It's too long and it's somebody else's video. But you hear this guy talk. He actually sounds like it just happened and they're interviewing him, and he sounds pretty terrified about his experience. When he looked towards a wooded area nearby, the witness says he was stunned to see a bipedal creature covered in shaggy black fur. The approximately 6-foot tall beast appeared to be hunched over, Walker recalls, and he had the biggest feet I had ever seen in my entire life. Based on his description of the creature, one might suspect that he had simply seen a bear, but Walker was certain this was not the case and feels that the furry interloper was more likely the famed Sasquatch. The brief encounter came to an end, he says, when the Bigfoot looked at him and quickly fled the area. The sighting was far from the first such case in the town of Littleton, which is rather well known for what is believed to be a proverbial Bigfoot presence in the area, with a recent encounter being reported this past November. The community's connection to Sasquatch is exemplified by the fact that it's home to the Cryptozoology and Paranormal Museum, which is one might guess is where the abandoned witness went following the sighting. And a testament to how deeply impactful the sighting was, Stefan Barcelio, who owns the establishment, said that he found the emotional Walker crying outside the building. The man then went inside the museum, shared his story in a powerful video testimony. Like I say, you have to watch it. He seems legit. He seems like he was pretty freaked out by what he saw. He'd never seen anything like this. And what did I say last week? Like, how many more of these, we're going to get more Bigfoot sightings because everybody gets quiet around these towns with being in isolation and that, and near an area where there's a big Bigfoot presence. Maybe the Bigfoots notice. Maybe the Bigfoots get curious and start coming out looking, go, where'd all the humans go? Why did it get so quiet? So we might get more stories like this.
Where's that town at, Jason?
Is in North Carolina. I'm not sure. Hold on. I just had was it Littleton? Yeah, Littleton, North Carolina.
Okay.
I don't know what part of North Carolina it was. They didn't give me a map of it or anything. I'm not familiar with the town, but I guess it's a Bigfoot hotspot. And like I said, with everybody being quiet, and maybe being quarantined, it doesn't seem like some people are really taking this stuff seriously. But I know it's quiet in Michigan City where I live. I give a lot of props to my Michigan City people. It's been a very quiet town, and good people stay home.
Yeah, no partying, no drinking. That's we're putting everybody home. Yeah.
Oh, I was ready. I was ready for my back neighbors or my age will party late at night, and they haven't. I was like, as soon as they party, the cops are going to take it seriously this time. Yeah, they're going to come. All right, let's move on before we run out of time. All right, let's see. Foo Fighters. Now, is this a promotional thing? I don't know. Bands do this sometimes, but I'm always interested to, I was in a band, I did recordings, and I had some weird stuff sometimes happen. Foo Fighters claim a mischievous ghost is haunting new album recording sessions. Dave Grohl of the legendary rock band Foo Fighters and Nirvana claims that a troublemaking ghost kept disturbing the group's work as they were recording their most recent album. The weird account came via an interview the rock star did with website NME, in which he revealed that the eerie series of events occurred in the 1940s at a home in the city of Encino, California, which had been converted to a recording studio. Grohl mused that upon entering the former residence, he knew the vibes were definitely off, but the band's work was also particularly sharp at the location. Forging ahead with their recording of the new album, Grohl says the band began to notice that guitars would become inexplicably detuned overnight, and the settings on the mixing board would be changed for no apparent reason. Even more unsettling, told the website, was that they discovered that tracks they had previously recorded had been replaced with weird open mic noises. Nobody's playing an instrument or anything like that. It's just an open mic recording of the room. That is weird. When we didn't hear any voices or anything really decipherable, Grohl said, but something was happening. The possible paranormal activity began significant enough that they actually brought a baby monitor into the studio to record anything out of the ordinary, which might have been happening overnight. Initially, they didn't see anything particularly out of the ordinary and began to have their doubts, but then we started to see things on the Nest cam that we couldn't explain. Unfortunately, Gore does not say what exactly the band spotted on the baby monitor, but one can surmise that perhaps it's recorded odd orbs or maybe things moving on their own. Weirdly enough, the rock star said that he did some research on the house and found out that some sinister things had happened there in the past, though he was vague about the nature of the events that had occurred. Is it selling an album? I don't know. The band's recording a lot of spooky places, man. I'll tell you what. It's a long history of that in rock and roll.
It would suck to go in and like lay tracks down and record a couple of songs and then come back the next day and they're gone though.
Yeah, these bandmates are not happy about Casper messing with the recording. I can, as somebody who's done recordings, I can completely sympathize with being like wanting to re-kill the ghost.
I wonder if the ghosts are kind of sensitive to really sharp sounds. Maybe some of these bands can just blow them away.
I see. When I was really young, I had a friend that had a really extremely haunted house, and I swear we'd go there to record and practice in a band. And when we would, all the activity would just spike in the house. The parents said it too. The parents were weird; they loved it. They were all into the paranormal, but the house was completely haunted. I had a baby gate picked up and thrown at my head. There, I had somebody else. I heard the story of somebody having a hammer picked up and thrown at their head. I mean, they didn't like the songs. I guess I don't know. Probably not. We were teenagers. We sucked. I'm sure it was awful. All right, let's move on.
Older guys, that sounds like there, Jason.
Yeah, it was. The house had some serious stuff, and they had Indian artifacts found when they dug the foundation of the house, stuff like that. They had a lot of history. All right, next one here. Now, we got the last three I figured would be fitting to be UFO videos because we're talking about aliens tonight. And also, what I've been saying about the coronavirus is it's really quiet out. Remember, not only will the Bigfoots maybe be taking notice of humans being quiet, but do the aliens take notice? Do the aliens have any part? I don't know. But maybe the aliens were taking notice. Maybe it's a good time for aliens to do a bunch of, air traffic because nobody's out looking, right? Well, that's what I said. Me and my wife went out the other night. It was like 60 degrees. We're like looking up in the sky to see if we see anything. Not many planes, but man, just wait. I'm just waiting to see another UFO. All right. So this first one. Footballer posts video crazy UFO on Twitter from Unexplained Mysteries. Retired footballer Simon Church raised eyebrows recently when he shared footage that he had taken of a UFO. The former striker of the Plymouth Argyle had been observing the planet Venus back on March 24th when he captured a bright white object that appeared to be moving across the sky. Just seen the craziest thing whilst having a look at Venus tonight. He's the whilst. It was way too high to be a drone and then just disappeared. The video, which has since racked up 20,000 views, began showing the object far in the distance before zooming in to get a closer look. All right, go ahead and play the video, Rob.
Whilst looking at Venus.
Whilst. I love when they type out their English accent or whatever that is. And it's just a big dot. You can tell he took it at night. The camera totally loses what it is. It's so bright.
Somebody on Facebook said that they've seen and filmed those types of spinning wheels before.
Oh, yeah. I've seen a lot of footage of that. But, it's what they're seeing with the camera. The camera can only pick up so much. Mm-hmm. So what are we really looking at? It's hard to say. But it's interesting. It could be a totally different shape, but the light's emitting from it. Just the camera blurs it out into a big glowing orb.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it could be a jet's afterburners. We don't know. It's hard to say. I don't think so. All right, I don't want to run out of time. Let's move on into the next one. I'm always interested in these flying humanoids. Last week we had a flying key. A key in the air, just floating in the air. Looked like a big giant key. Well, this one's a flying humanoid. We got another flying humanoid. A strange video from Arizona shows a puzzling object floating in the sky as some observers suspect that it could be a flying humanoid. The curious scene was captured by a YouTube user named Bali18 in the Phoenix suburb of Awaki on March 26th. I probably butchered that. As often the case, the footage was quickly made the rounds online thanks to numerous channels specializing in mysterious aerial phenomenon picking up the video. In the footage, a slender dark object can be seen hovering in the sky quite a distance away from the witnesses, who zoom in on the anomaly in order to get a better look at it, seemingly changing shapes as it floats in the sky. The enigmatic oddity occasionally appears to sport a pair of legs and perhaps even wings of arms. It does kind of look like that. All right, let's see if you can zoom in on that one too, Rob. If you can bring up the full screen of it. There we go. Like he's zooming in and out on this thing. It does look like it kind of has legs.
Yeah, it does. Legs and something on its back.
Yeah.
Jamie said
It
earlier.
almost looks like a jet with wings going straight up. I don't know, but it's just hovering. It wouldn't be a jet. A jet would be going back down if it was doing that.
Right. Our jetpacks can only last 5 minutes, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We don't have anything like that.
It kind of almost reminds me of the key, but if it was turned differently, like it kind of looks like the way the key looked, but maybe a different angle.
It does. Yeah. That's what I thought. It was kind of similar to the key. I don't have it on me. I forgot where was the key shot. Can't remember where that was filmed at.
Or it's a blow-up doll full of helium that got away.
It's a weird blow-up doll.
Looks like
I think the jetpacks, you would see a tail of some sort behind it.
I don't know. It's
like they do in Hawaii.
Look right there when you pause on it. It kind of looks like it's got like could be arms and legs, or it could be wings and a nose of something going up. I don't know.
That was seen in Mexico some years back also.
Oh, yeah. There's been a number of flying humanoid things, and there's some that were debunked. I remember when the show Heroes was being rebooted. They did this, like, they made these look like humans were flying. It was like an actual drone where it had like a human body parts attached to it. It made it look like it was a human flying through the sky. You know,
Now I want to see that key again because that's kind of interesting.
very similar. Well,
Yeah.
this last one, the last one I got is in reference to the last week World Wide Web of Weird. We got a UFO spotted in Washington. Now, last week, I should have had both videos up for comparison. I don't. But if you go back to last week's World Wide Web of Weird, we had a Texas video. And this looks just like the Texas video. So a curious video filmed in Washington State seems to show a cluster of UFOs hovering in the night sky in a fashion eerily similar to a case from Texas. This is from coast to coast. The footage was reportedly recorded on YouTube username Den or Denspion. I don't know how you say that, in Seattle suburb of Berrien. The intriguing video, which can be seen here, begins with a bright light in the sky that is quickly joined by another odd orb. Now, the video is like 5 minutes long, so I only have like a little segment of it. The strange scene continues with another set of lights appearing nearby, all four of the orbs hovering towards each other into a cluster, which is just like the Texas video. This is so much, when I first saw it, I'm like, is this the Texas video? No, it's a totally different place. The Texas video had somebody speaking Spanish in it too. So this is a totally different thing. And in Seattle, is it the same thing? It looks just like the same thing. Go ahead and play the video. See if you can blow it up.
This looks real similar to what I saw earlier.
Yeah, right. And Rob saw something like this in Florida, what 2-3 months ago?
Yeah, good 3 months or so.
I've never seen lights like that before. I don't think those are planes. There's a bunch of them.
You'll see this thing like turn. It looks like it's like a long triangle, but then another light's joining. It's weird. It doesn't look like it could be lanterns or the way that it moves,
Flying rotation.
or flares.
Now, the one on the far right, is that one of them too, or is it just
Yeah. There's the little white thing you see specking around is, I think, light refraction.
Yeah,
okay, that's what I was thinking.
But that right there, triangle. Now there's another light that will appear there with it, and it becomes 4 lights, just like the Texas video. And they're only a week apart.
Look at that.
Now, see how like it kind of turns? Like, you can still see the other dot.
Mhm.
So is there anything physically there? Are these all separate vehicles we're seeing? I don't know. It's like it's kind of turned, but you see how that one dot gets a little dim, like it's about ready to disappear? Like it is one object turning, and we're in the front of it, the cone part is starting to disappear right there. You see it?
Right.
How it's starting to flicker out because it's like turning,
Those are not planes.
and then it starts to come back, and then here comes another light.
Holy shit.
Excuse the language there. Sorry. Forgot to delete that.
Yeah,
There's more. You can find it hidden under her belly. Go check out the whole video. Washington, Seattle video, or go to Coast to Coast Sam. You'll find the link. It's a lot longer video. I can't have time to play the whole thing. And plus, you should go to the YouTube channel, check it out, Hidden Underbelly. But it is odd, and it looks just. I would, really need a comparison. Put two videos side by side. The Texas one and this one. They are so similar. They look so much alike.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on it, Dave?
I'm kind of wondering what's going on, because we are getting a lot of sightings right now. I think there's some fast movement going on with the ETs and UFOs. There's something on. There's something going on. Because I don't know if it's just that everybody's got a camera nowadays, or is it the fact that we are being visited a lot more now?
That's always been the question. That's always been the question. Like, are we seeing more now? Or is it just because we have the cameras and we have more of an open discussion about it than we did 10, 20, 30 years ago?
Yeah.
A lot of people saw stuff they never have told anybody, because they didn't want to be ridiculed. So that's always the question. Is it technology? Is it more of our openness? Are sightings increased? Are they decreased? I really don't know the answer to that.
I know they increased for me in 2010 and 2011. I saw 5 up close UFOs. So
we're going to get into that.
Yeah,
we're going to commercial break, so we're gonna get into that. Check it out. Dave Emmons is going to join us after this commercial break to talk about his alien and UFO experiences. And we will open up the phone lines after the second commercial break. Not yet. We want to get into Dave's story, and then we'll open up the phone lines. Don't forget, subscribe, follow us on YouTube, share the show out, tell your friends about it. We also are on Patreon, helps pay the bills for this StreamYard thing. If you're listening on the Paranormal Radio Network, I am going to have new updated playlists coming soon. Since I got all this quarantine time at home, I really need to get those playlists updated. I have somebody call me at 5 a.m. thinking it was the show going on. I need to get a little advert and tell people that the live show's Sunday. Tell your friends. All right, guys, we'll be right back.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do voices from beyond the cold case files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Bring life to the dead. 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 Enter the occult world of necromancy. You were brought here for one purpose. Necromancy.
A ceremony dating back to the pre-Christian era. It's the art of reviving the dead. It requires involvement with evil spirits by the person performing the act.
The devil god brings life to the dead.
No, please. No, please.
And death to the living. Necromancy. Starring Orson Welles and Pamela Franklin. From Cinerama releasing. In color, rated PG, parental guidance suggested.
The international chart-topping, haunted horror of Haverfordwest has been described as Terrifyingly real. A must-read. Shocking and chilling brilliance. Genuinely worrying. Utterly frightening. Don't read before bed. Described as one of the spookiest writers out there, best-selling author G.L. Davies presents Haunted, Horror of Haverfordwest, the true paranormal account that is shocking the world. Dare you enter? Dare you read? Haunted, Horror of Haverfordwest is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, and wherever books are sold. Pray you never have to live there.
He is conducting an experiment into the combined effects of sensory deprivation and hallucinatory drugs. The subject of the experiment is himself, and the experiment is out of control. Ken Russell's Altered States, a film that must not be missed, is in the West End now. Altered States, Certificate X.
The night is alive. Join us and take a walk on the weird side when you tune in to the Kingdom of Nye, hosted by Heather Wade, the finest in late night talk. Listen live free weeknights starting at 9 p.m. Pacific time at thekingdomofnye.com, talkstreamlive.com, and the Paranormal Radio app. Wanna take a ride?
Do you like rock and roll? Do you enjoy a good story? Wish You Were Here, A Rock Fantasy, is a book inspired by Badfinger. It will not only entertain you, but intrigue you. What is it about? Well, Thomas is searching for his bandmate and friend in heaven, and in spirit has helped pen this story. He meets an old friend and famous new ones on his afterlife voyage. Midwest Book Review said, Wish You Were Here, A Rock Fantasy, is a book inspired by Badfinger. It's a quirky story by Joyce S. Isaacson and is unique, original, and deftly crafted metaphysical novel that showcases the author's genuine flair for character and narrative-driven entertainment that is simply riveting from first page to last. Wish You Were Here, A Rock Fantasy is now available on pennantpublication.com, Amazon.com in paperback and hardcover, and also on Kindle Unlimited. So check it out now. Wish You Were Here, A Rock Fantasy.
Switch to DCS ranging.
240, nominal to profile.
We're in the pipe. 5 by 5.
Tonight on Paranormal Soup, our guest is Dave Emmons. Dave had his first alien contactee experience at the age of 14 years old and has had many more since that time. Dave spent a few years of the early part of his life at a top-secret nuclear weapons training facility. He volunteered to serve in Vietnam and become a platoon sergeant. Thank you for your service, Dave. At the end of his duty, he was honorably discharged and offered an officer's commission. After leaving the service, Dave spent many years in radio at FM and AM stations, voicing ads, as well as leading his talent to training films. He worked as an electrician, was a field coordinator for Philips X-Ray Corp, as well as worked as a small business manager for multiple businesses. Over 70 years lifespan, he has also owned his own restaurant and nightclub, as well as played drums and guitar in a family band. Dave is the host of the radio program Strange Truth every Thursday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern on KCOR Radio. Tonight, we're going to talk about his experience as an alien contactee and maybe why he doesn't refer to it as an abductee experience. You know, I've had past guests like Terry Lovelace. He says he's an abductee, and it's not a pleasant experience for him. We're find out about Dave's experience tonight, and if you have had your own experiences, I would love you to call in after our second commercial break. Not right now. But later, call in and tell us, share with us your experiences. And that's what the show is about. It's an open forum for us to talk about these amazing experiences that people have that most of the world has no idea is going on around them. That's what it's about. So let's go ahead and get to our guest. Welcome to the show, Dave. Thank you for being on.
Yeah, thank you, Jason, for allowing me to come on and share my experiences. And just like you're saying, you're inviting other people to talk about their experiences where we can put the puzzle together. And
exactly.
That's very important for all of us. And also to see some of us come out, step out and say, hey, we're not afraid of ridicule. We're not afraid of people laughing at us. That's happened a few times. Eyes were rolling in meetings and things of that nature, but who cares? You experience what you experience, and you're honest about it. If you're not honest about it, then you're going to quit talking about it. I think
right.
It'll catch up with you. Yeah. So to me, I think it's something that truly makes an impact on one's life. You can just imagine that something that's out of this world or out of this dimension coming and touching you and talking to you, and it's just kind of you're learning real quick what the world and what the universe is about just by seeing these things. And I think we should feel blessed that we have contact with this type of entity or entities or dimensional aspects.
I'm always interested in the idea that there's more than just they came from another planet out in outer space, that there's an interdimensional aspect to this too.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I guess some of the commercials you had there about the ghost. I'm not into the ghost too much. I was talking to Grant Cameron on the show once, and I asked him that question. I said, what's the difference between a poltergeist, a ghost, a dimensional being, and an ET? And he said, well, he said nothing. They're all the same. It's a dimensional type of thing.
Well, that's why I believe that too. I believe they're all connected in that way. So I named the show Paranormal Soup, because we cover all these scenes, and I believe it's a big soup bowl, and they're all in it. They're all connected to it in some way.
Yeah, but those ghost stories scare me more than what my ET experiences do. I don't go. I got ghost, hunting friends, and I have a friend who writes 5 or 6 books, and he's brought home some really funky evil spirits with him. And another friend of mine, he quit doing it because you can drag that stuff home with you.
Oh yeah, I've personally experienced that myself, and I have had a very negative experience. But my negative experience, I've always kept in the back of my mind, is somehow related to alien. And one day I will reveal that to people how I feel it is.
That's right.
But we want to get into your experience. So in your bio, it said this started when you were 14 years old.
Yeah, I was 14 years old, and I was in Alton, Illinois, same place I'm at now, but on the other side of town. I was with a best friend of mine. He was a year younger than me. And we were sitting on his steps that went into his bottom basement apartment with his dad. And we were drinking Pepsi out of glass bottles. If that tells you that dates me. So that's
1960s.
Yeah, it's 63. And we didn't have a craft like we saw. But we were sitting there, and the 10 transistor radio was cracking and buzzing. I asked my buddy, I said, did you put batteries in that? He said, yes. He said, everything should be okay. And then we smelled what we thought was sulfur or gunpowder. We didn't know what was going on. Right. And then we looked up and we saw 2 white lights, and not real big lights, but they were bright. They were coming over the neighborhood real slow. And they were just above treetop level. So we went up on the street, and he got his dad's flashlight out of his truck. He started flashing the flashlight at this thing. We walked up the street. Yeah. And then we got into this empty lot, and we stood there and we looked at it. It actually, my house was just right down, just right down from the empty lot. And it was over my backyard, actually, this craft was. And so we were standing there, and we were standing there, not was, okay. grammar, watch it. But
don't worry, I brutalize the English language throughout the whole show, so you have nothing to worry about. I will make you look like you're a perfect English speaker.
Yeah, my allergies kind of do that to me. It kind of makes me say the wrong word. I hope I don't do that. But we were standing there pinching each other, and we said, "You seeing what I see?" And I said, "Yes, I see it." And what it looked like, it was about 30 feet wide diameter, and it was about 50 feet off the ground, just right over my backyard.
Yeah.
And it had 3 layers to it. It looked like one of these little fat tops that they had back in the old days that you'd wind up and let it go. And it had 3 levels. Now, the first level, it was dark underneath, I guess, from burning through the atmosphere. And what I figured out, I've talked to my buddy about this too, and still this day, we still talk about that when we get together. Or my brothers or whatever will ask us about it. So we'll talk about it together. And he's only had a couple little different things that he saw and heard that I didn't. We all take in different things, I guess, about a craft or whatever. You can have. He heard a hissing. I didn't hear a hissing sound, but I was too awestruck looking at it because the bottom was dark, burning through the atmosphere. That's ozone. That's what the smell was, and that's a mixture of nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, all burnt together, and that's what makes the sulfur smell. So you have I guess what you call carbon dioxide, sulfur, whatever, that we don't mix all that up, but that smell was done. We didn't smell it anymore. It must have cooled off. But I was looking at, it was kind of plump at the bottom. I guess that's where the crew was at. And the second layer had portals, windows, and they were kind of dimly lit up. And then the top just had a kind of like a bulb top on it, and had 2 looked like antennae sticking up on top of it, and a red light on the back of it. And we couldn't figure out, okay, there's a little red light, and then there's 2 bright lights. That's all we saw in the craft. But I was looking at the portals, the windows, and I was afraid somebody was going to look out. I was just, as being 14, I was scared because we went.
You thinking alien? Were you thinking alien the moment you saw it?
Yes. We knew it was alien. We didn't have no doubt in our minds. We were young, but we knew that we've seen these movies in the late 50s and early 60s of Mars attacks and the creature from the Mars and all this other stuff. So we saw jets, and we knew what jets were. We've seen them all the time in the movies because that's where we go and watch these sci-fi movies. So we knew it wasn't anything that we had. We knew it was ET related right away. It was about 15 feet high, and so I thought, okay, let's stand here for a while and just stare at it. But unbeknownst to both of us, it happened around 10:30, and I'll tell you what,
was this at night?
What's that?
Was it 10:30 at night or 10:30 in the morning?
No, 10:30 at night. I'm sorry. Right. So it was kind of like a missing time thing. We can't explain it. My buddy and I, neither one of us can come up with. It was 10:30 when it happened at night. It was about midnight by the time we got in the house, and my mom was really mad because she had unlocked the door, and she was mad at me for being late. She said, "Why are you so late?" I didn't know the time. When we were kids, we didn't keep track of time, but my mom did. So she knew it was really late, and she told me to get my butt. I told her, I saw a UFO, Mom. She goes, "Get your UFO butt in the house." And I said, "Okay." And I went in and I tried to tell her about it, and she says, "Go to bed. Go to bed." And my buddy said he went to his dad and said, "Dad, I saw a UFO, flying saucer." And he says, "Yeah, sure, son, go to bed." So that's how they treated it back then. There wasn't, nowadays, they might be more curious. A parent might want to talk to you more about it now. Hopefully they
nowadays a kid has a cell phone to go, "Look what I saw, Ma."
Yeah, I wish I had a picture, with a cell phone. But no, it was kind of a really beginning of a lot of things for my future in this UFO field and the research. I've done my own research a lot. Of course, I went to journalistic school, and I learned how to take notes, and I got a ledger about 290 pages. I haven't written a book yet. I don't know if I'll ever will. It's just something I'm just doing a lot of radio on. But we couldn't figure out, getting back to lost time, we couldn't figure out what happened during that time. I had a couple of regressions, one small one, not a couple. I think it was only one. I was on a metal table, and I was trying to put on a shirt. The shirt was too small for me. I couldn't get it on, and I was real groggy. I was really asleep, and we ended up both standing at the same spot, and apparently they got the clothes right. He was a little bit smaller guy than me, so
you were putting on your friend's clothes, or somebody else was being abducted.
Right. I was putting on my friend's shirt, and it was too small for me. He was a little smaller than me. So I kind of figured, okay, that's a good regression. It tells me we were on board ship. But what happened 3 weeks later, and I don't know the exact time, that really, I usually follow the facts, Jason.
Right.
When something happens to me, I look for I look for the other shoe to drop. And when you investigate, that's what you do. You look for the next shoe to drop. You look for the next fact. So what happened 3 weeks or so later is, in my left testicle, this is kind of touchy to talk about, but
it does in this subject though, and that's fine.
Yeah, but your commercial there was talking about the UFO sex or whatever, something like that.
Ghost sex, totally different.
I felt it, and I thought, wow, what is this? So I saw a straight red line cut in the skin, and it was about, I'd say about 3/8 of an inch long. It was really thin red. And I was pushing this thing, and I pushed it towards that little red line, and it eventually popped out out of that red line. It looked like an Advil tablet, and it was ashy color. And the longer I held it out, the darker it got. It was disintegrating as soon as it hit the air.
As soon as it hit air?
Yeah, it was turning colors. And so I didn't have any blood. I looked. There wasn't any blood from me doing that.
Right.
Normally you'd have bleeding, a little bit of bleeding, not much maybe, but none. It would look like a little fine laser cut. And now I know that it was a laser cut. I showed my mom, and she said, that's just an ingrown cyst or something. I said, no, Mom, it's not. She said, well, how do you know? I said, because it had a hole cut for it already. It had a little red line cut. And then
it made me think of my vasectomy. I mean, when you're saying that, I mean, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it probably does look like that.
Which mine was done with a laser, I think so.
Yeah, but we can't show pictures of that though.
We don't want to show pictures of that. No, that's all. We'll take your word.
Yeah, but then she looked at me and she goes, she just had that look like something is strange here. I knew that I could tell that look that she was giving me. She knew something was strange. She put it together with a UFO connection and this thing that I dug up. She said, well, throw it away. So I did.
She dismissed it.
Yeah.
But you could tell that it was the dismissal might be more out of fear.
Right. At that time, the look that she had, I think it was kind of fear that we did really see something. We're not joking about it. But that was it for that first one. But that was the big one. That told me that there's something else in this world.
Right.
And
I mean, it's not like you just saw a light in the sky. You got a close up look, 15 feet up off the ground. You can see the windows.
Yes, I saw.
You never did see anybody in the windows, though, right? You never did. No.
I think there were one-way windows.
Well, I mean, it made me think very similar to like the Betty and Barney Hill UFO and their experience, and they saw the windows and they actually could see beings in the windows.
Well, I didn't see anybody because I was looking at those windows. I mean, I would have been too. I was staring at those windows. I didn't want to see them, but I did. You know how they're scary.
Oh, yeah.
So, but we were quite afraid at that point. Our adrenaline was flowing, so we ran back home. But yeah, that was what started it all. I didn't know that was going to be the beginning of something that's even today going on. And I was telling you guys earlier in the pre-interview about some of the stuff that's going on today, but I've got a lot more things
to want to get into it.
Yeah.
I want to get into it.
Yeah. So during the years that I graduated from high school, I worked a little while, and I went in the military, and I was in top secret, Huntsville, Alabama, for a little while, and I didn't like it because the military intelligence every week would have you in this little hall, and they'd give you cigarettes and soda, and they'd be asking you all kinds of questions. Have you rode home? I said, if I did, you guys would know it. You're opening all.
This is a nuclear testing facility you were at.
No, it's not. It's a missile.
This is before that missile.
Redstone Arsenal, right? But this is where it all starts. Redstone Arsenal in Alabama. But they would ask you all kinds of strange questions, and they'd ask you keep up on sports. I said, yeah. And they say, well, who's winning right now? I said, I think the Atlanta or something. I didn't really know. I didn't follow sports back then. Right. We were too busy in the military, and our weekends off was too busy going into town and partying and stuff. So I didn't like that every week questioning. So I got away from it. I had an 89% average. I was the only high school person that actually was in the class, myself and another guy, and the rest of them were all master's degrees in physics and things of that nature.
Yeah.
We qualified through testing. We scored high in testing, so we got in the program. I thought that was big time. I thought, oh wow, this is great. But it turned out not to be so great. They're going to ship us to Sandia, and I'd go into an underground a tunnel place and not be seen again. So I didn't want to do that. So I quit. I had to get the post chaplain to get me out of the class. So I got out of the class and said, well, you're probably going to go to Vietnam. I said, well, that's okay. Fine. I need to grow up. But my brother got his orders for Vietnam, and his wife was expecting a baby. So I sent my orders and blocked him. I stopped him from going. I went instead of him because his wife was having a baby. So I figured I would go. So I ended up being in infantry, and I become a platoon sergeant, and I was actually acting lieutenant. And I come back from Vietnam. I had it made for a year in Columbus, Georgia. Then I was offered a commission, but that's explaining somebody. I had some confusion on one radio station about my top secret, and I wanted to explain that. So I got that over with.
Yeah.
I want to explain that since it was mentioned in the bio. But my next, I guess I was so busy in the 70s and 80s playing music, working, going to school part-time, and I was so busy I passed out, I think, a couple of times from dehydration. So the doctor told me to slow down, but I made myself so busy. And of course I partied a lot back then, and I didn't pay much attention. I saw orbs in the sky and things flying around, and I wondered when I stopped and I looked, I said, I wonder if it's one of those craft that I saw some years back. You always wonder about that. My next encounter was actually in 1996. I don't know why. They might have visited me, but I don't know.
Well, that's my question. Do you think it's possible that, I mean, even before you were 14, we didn't even get to that you had any kind of encounters? Because we haven't gotten into the family ties of this, because a lot of this stuff runs through families, and kids are taken at young ages.
Right.
So do you think that's a possibility that you were taken before you were 14?
I might have been. We ran around the woods a lot and we played, but my mom said I was born with gray sideburns. So I don't know what that all means. I could have been
an old man.
Yeah. And my mom has had the reason why she was afraid of the UFO thing, because she had experiences, and her family.
That's what I wondered.
They've seen a UFO in behind their yard. It looked just like the one I saw that she told me.
Really?
She's 92. She's 92 now, and she still talks about those things because she knows I do radio in it and everything. I said, Mom, you're to come on the radio show with me. I usually, as a witness, So, but no, my next real thing that I saw that was conscious awareness. I try to see things that if I see something asleep or regress dream, it's got to be something really tied to something solid.
I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. There's got to be a seed
Yes.
that's planted. And then that makes that regression more true and more factual. In 96, I was in the bedroom sleeping. It was about 1:30 in the morning, and I was with my ex-wife at the time, and we had a daughter that she had headaches a lot, teenager, and I thought it was her going into our master bedroom medicine cabinet to get aspirin or something for a headache. I called out her name a couple of times, and I got up on my right elbow and I put my chin in my hand, and I was looking. I asked her name and didn't answer. Saw a dark shadow go across the mirror, and my wife had a blanket over the drapes because she wanted to block out all the light because she couldn't stand light when she was sleeping. So, and this thing walked around the end of the bed, and I turned to my left hand and put my chin in my left hand. And I was looking. I thought it was her still, but it come to right up to my side. It was only about 3.5, 4 feet tall, and it was really wrinkled. And he didn't look like the typical commercial little gray, real.
Not the gray.
Yeah, and it looked really. It had eyes that were kind of like ours in a way. They had the white pupil, except they were bigger. They didn't have the black lens on it. Maybe it was dark enough where he didn't need the black lens.
Right.
like the Greys have. And this thing just stood there and stared at me. I could see like two little nose holes and just a little slit of a mouth. But he was so wrinkled that he was really ugly, and it's kind of scary. I looked at him for about 5 seconds. I was in fear. I just froze. And then after that, I just felt like I was at ease. I just kind of fell back in my bed, and I don't remember anything after that, except when I woke up about an hour or two later, I noticed that my eyes were really blinking, the nervous tick. I couldn't stop them from blinking. I tried to hold them. They just kept going. And I asked my wife, I said, did you see anything? She goes, no, go back to sleep. So I went in the bathroom, splashed my face with cold water, tried to get my eyes to stop from blinking.
Yeah.
And then I said, oh, I can't sleep. I got to get up at 5:30 anyway, go to work. So I just went in the living room and watched TV, and I just kind of chilled out. And I said, wow, they're back, or it's happening again. It took so many years for him to come back. And I believe he took samples from me, DNA, blood, semen samples. And the story that I'll be telling maybe a little bit later, it's the semen samples are no doubt what he took. I know how they do that. I've seen it a couple of times. I woke up a couple of times when they were doing it. And so I'll explain that a little later too. But I worked in a refinery. After that, I was a supervisor, and we were in a gas plant making gasoline. I went up to inspect something that we did all the time. We inspected the machinery and the vessels and everything, tall vessels. And I went up on this 14th deck. I saw something shiny, and it was really glimmering in the sunlight. It was coming from the east. And I was standing there, and I called down to the control room and said, guys, take a look at this. I said, take a look at this thing, that goes on and keeps coming towards me. And so they say, oh, that's Dave with that UFO junk. And I said, okay, fine. So I stood there and watched it. It was about 20 feet over my head. It come close to me. It was about 15 feet. It had two wings. They were kind of like slanted back wings and a fuselage. And there was nothing, no bolts, no screws, no cockpit, no sound, no nothing.
Streamline.
Yeah. And it had one
molded.
Yeah. One tail fin. Yes. Molded. And it turned and went south from me. And I watched it go south, and I knew it had to be a UFO because you cannot fly in a refinery airspace. It's against the law. So so it's just I'm reading things here and I'm trying to talk and read things here. You had this stuff coming up. So but no, it's something that I thought I felt some energy from it. I was kind of like a magnetic energy, and I was thinking, okay, this must have been something special. So I went back down, and I was kind of quiet the rest of the afternoon. They said, Dave, what happened? That UFO get to you? I said, yeah. I said, I'm starting to wonder. And then they said, we are too. We're wondering about you. And I said, don't be wondering about me. I said, what's going on with me is true. And I said, but I had a real vivid, lucid dream. It threw me a little tidbit. Sometimes they upload from you and then they download to you, just like computers. Our minds are just like a computer storage. Yeah. And they downloaded to me the future. 2 or 3 nights later, I had this real lucid dream that I walked through the plant. Everything was quiet. I couldn't figure out what was going on. And then I walked through the noises part of the plant, and it was quiet. I walked in the control room, no lights, nobody was in there. And I thought to myself, this plant's going to close. So I told the guys the next day, I said, the plant's going to close, guys. They said, you're crazy. They just pumped $5 million into this unit just to repair it and get it up to snuff. I said, no, it's going to close. They said, is that what the ETs told you? I said, yes, that's what they told me. And 4 or 5 months later, it did close. So they were all in shock when it happened. But so they actually do play with your mind. They can send things to you. They can actually bring things out of your mind. They can act like somebody else. One of the other incidents I had with this hose thing and this semen collection was my right knee was up in the air. This is when I was single now. This happened in the late 90s, I guess 2000, somewhere like that. And I had my right knee in the air, and I had a friend of mine. It looked like a friend of mine, in the face, because they what they can do is they take from your memory and they can mask themselves with
Like a screen memory.
Yeah, right. And they can do that to make you feel more comfortable and to make their job much easier to do. Well, I tried to kick away the hose. It was going between my legs, and I tried to kick it away, and then I went out again. So apparently they don't like you moving around. They just kind of give you a dose of magnetic energy and knock your brain down. I call it dumbing down. There's about 4 or 5 doses they give you. It's almost like when you go in for a surgery, they knock you out, they sedate you. Well, they have about 4 or 5 different ranges. The first range is they make you feel like, oh, everything's fine. Oh, it feels like you've had a drink or two. And then
like euphoric.
Yeah. And then the second dose they give you is when they dumb you down to where you can't talk, you can't do anything. You're just sitting there, and they'll do what they want. And then the third dose is that they kind of knock you out, and you're partially awake and you can see what's going on, but you're kind of, numbed down to the point where you don't really know, or that feeling until you really have it. But now the fourth one, where they really knock you out, if they take you on board ship, that's when they really knock you out. So it's kind of I guess something that I noticed throughout the years that happened to me several different times. So I got the hang of how they do things in a magnetic energy way. So I went through that experience, and then things didn't really start back up until about 2009. I started traveling out west a lot, and I liked traveling out west. I was kind of like semi-retired at that point. And I'd go out to Sedona, and I loved it out there. I'd go there about once, and I went there twice a year after things started getting going. And I just, when I went out there one time, I went to this, I guess she's a spiritual guide, and she was part Indian, American Indian. And she told me, I said, I don't like psychics. She said, I'm not a psychic. And she said, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. I said, okay, tell me. And then she closes her eyes. She says, you got a bad back. I said, yes, I do. I said, I got a bad back. I'll give you that. You might have seen me hunched over walking in the door. But she said, and then she closed her eyes again. She said, secondly, your car is going to be damaged on this trip. She said, you're taking a trip, aren't you? She didn't know it. I said, yeah, in 9 days. I said, how'd you know it? She said, I was told by a spiritual guide. And I said, okay. And then she told me the third thing was, she said, you're going to meet your first alien. I said, really? She said, you'll meet your first alien in 10 days. And I thought, oh, well, that's October 4th. So what I did is I went on out to Sedona that 9 days later. And then, of course, on the 10th day, I was there. And I went to this shop after I took a real quick nap. And they told me they saw a UFO around Cathedral Rock. If you know anything about Sedona, you'll know that the different buttes and the rock and the different sites there. So I went to Cathedral Rock, pulled in, and I started filming. And in pulls in behind me a little white car in the back behind my car. And here jumps out a Japanese gal. She looked like she was in her early 30s, and she didn't have any makeup, no earrings, no watch, no camera, and she even had dirty pants on, denims. And she walked up to me like a little puppy, like she was smiling at me. And I said, okay, who are you? And she says, Hiroko. And I put the camera down. I filmed her a little bit. And I said, I'm here looking for UFOs. And she just kind of looked up at me when I said that. And, but I put the camera down and I said, are you waiting for somebody? She goes, no. And I said, are you going hiking? She goes, no. I said, well, looks like it's going to rain real quick here. And I said, so you just going to walk around by yourself or what? She goes, no. She said, we're supposed to meet. I said, we are supposed to meet. She goes, yes.
This is October 4th, right?
And it was right on October 4th. Yes. It was October 4th, about 6:30 in the evening. And that's when I met her. And that's when this spiritual person told me this, and it all come true. And I was just flabbergasted because she said I would meet this alien. She was a hybrid, either that or she was a shapeshifter, a reptilian shapeshifter. I don't know. Jason, I don't that confuses me. What are they?
What she was?
Yeah, you really don't know. But she was seeking like emotional information from me. I told her, I said, you want to sit in the car? It's starting to rain. We'll visit for a little while. She goes, yeah. She gets in the car and we start talking, and she starts getting this emotional stuff from me. She said, what would you do if you had a coworker at work that didn't like you and you always argued? I said, well, I'd talk it out. I said, if it's at work, you got to be careful. You don't want to get into a fight. I said, you get fired. And then there was another car that pulled up beside me, just one space over from me. And it was a guy, looked like he was in his late 20s, short cut hair, and he had a headset on, and he didn't look at me. Not once did he look at me. I looked over. I didn't see him looking around or doing anything. I don't know.
Did she look at him?
I don't know if she did at the same time I did, but when I turned back around to her, she kind of like shifted her head back, like she was watching me watch him. She probably knew who he was. So I thought, okay, this is a setup. Maybe in my head, I was thinking that, and I had a gun in my console. I looked at my console. She gave me a dirty look, a real evil. Her eyes turned black, and she'd actually just stare a hole through me. And I said,
I was going to ask that.
Yeah.
Yes, because this is sounding like Black-Eyed Children scenario. The way that she's trying to in-depth when people have gotten into conversations, she's trying to gauge emotion.
Right. And so it was like, then she threw this energy on me somehow or another. Like I said, this light dose anesthetic. Somebody mentioned anesthetic, and I didn't say that a while ago. I said sedated. So I'll clear that up. It's different ranges of anesthetics. But she threw that on me, and I just kind of said, okay, everything's okay. I'll chill out. This guy left. And then she kept talking to me. She said, my mom and dad don't get along. And she started crying. And I said, don't cry. It's okay. And I put my hand on top of her hand. Her hand was really burning hot. And it was cool outside. And her hand was really burning hot. I said, Hiroko, your hand is burning up. I said, it's above fever pitch. Are you okay? She goes, yes, I'm okay. And I said, wow. I said, so I asked a few people about that, and they said that she could have been going through like a change, like going from a gray to a Japanese person, to hide amongst our people. So
one person, Justin Brown, is a host of his own show, pointed out too, maybe she was, taken over. Maybe it's a human who's being occupied for the moment. That's a possibility. So many possibilities.
Yeah, there is. There's too many. And the shapeshifter, hybrid, I kept calling her throughout my time, talking about this. So
yeah,
that's what I'm thinking. But yeah. So somebody else just said they had a photo of a reptilian in their house. That's interesting. Right. Yeah.
And Shannon Soul, after the second commercial break, please call in, share.
Yeah,
we can talk about it.
Yeah. But no, I talked to her for a little while longer. And then this car pulls up again. This young guy,
same person.
And I thought something's really strange here. And I looked at her and I said, "You don't know this guy?" And she shook her head. And
was he? I hate to stop you. Was he Asian or Caucasian?
No,
or
he was Caucasian. He was he was white. Yes, and he seemed like the kind of like the FBI type or the alphabet type person. And I looked back around at her when I kept staring at this guy to see if he would look, but he never looked at my car or looked at me. I looked around at her. She shrunk down real low in the seat. Her eyes got real big, and I was kind of like in a daze. She hit me with more magnetic energy because this guy pulled up again. She knew I was getting more antsy about grabbing my gun and saying, "Hey, this jig is up," But she got real low in the seat, and her eyes got real big. And she kind of almost looked like a little gray just for a little while. And I thought, how could this be? And I looked back outside, looked at this guy, and I looked back at her. She come back to herself. I said, this is weird. Am I seeing what I'm seeing? And she said that she knew 20 languages. She just visited White Sands, New Mexico, the missile base there. I said, by yourself? And she goes, yeah. I said, why would a girl want to go to White Sands, New Mexico?
Right.
And she said, I just wanted to see the sand. She said a lot of things that just didn't make sense. A lot of red flags were popping up, and I I thought, okay. I said, aren't you afraid of being with some old coot like me in the car? And I
Right.
said, you kicked my butt. And I looked at her, and she answered me. She said, yes. So I kind of thought, I was thinking right then and there, she wasn't from here. There was something strange about her. She didn't know a lot of her customs. She didn't. She had no rings, no watch, no phone, no nothing on her. Except a dirty pant leg with mud. And so I just wondered, who is this person, or what is she? So we after the third time, this guy pulled in, and he just parked there for about 5 minutes, and then he took off. I didn't see him no more. So I said, well, I'm going to go back to my lodge, and I guess you're going to go back to where you're living or you're staying. She goes, yeah. I said, how about tomorrow morning we meet for breakfast? She said, yeah, sure. We do that. And I said, okay, I'll meet you then. So we met at this place, and she was standing there, and there's about 12 people in there. And she said she's from Tokyo, and they were waiting in line. And she said from Tokyo. And so she's used to being around millions of people. And she looks around and she goes, all these people. And I thought that was weird to say.
Yeah, if she's from Tokyo, they're all on top of each other.
Yeah. And I was picking up subtle things, because when I went back to my room, I'd make notes. I got about 3 or 4 pages of notes of what she said and how we went about that evening and that next day, because I knew I was onto something that was really weird. And so we went to this, we went out to some buttes, and we took a look around, and she didn't act like she was too interested, but she liked the wind. I got pictures of her. I got about 9 pictures of her. And she liked the wind, and she would stand there and say, isn't this beautiful? And I said, yeah, it is beautiful. I said, the wind is kind of making a whistling sound. And so we went to have something to eat. She said she had to leave. She had to go to LA or Los Angeles. And I said, really? I said, what are you going to do there? She said, oh, nothing, just see friends or whatever. And I thought she was, she just wasn't telling me the truth about anything.
Right.
So we went back, and we ate a little something there at this one shop. And then she kept looking at me, and I said, don't look at me like that. I said, you're burning a hole in my head. And she goes, we're supposed to meet. And she says, I like you. I said, well, I like you too, Hiroko. I said, but my goodness. I said, we're supposed to meet. What do you mean meet? She wouldn't tell me. She said it 3 or 4 times. And then she also told me she had to have a baby. And I said, a baby? I said, why do you have to have a baby? She goes, well, I do. I said, you got a boyfriend? Are you getting married? She goes, my boyfriend treats me mean in Japan. I said, really? And I said, well, you don't need him. And I said, well, how are you going to have a baby? You're not married or anything. What are you going to do? And she goes, I just need a baby. And that's what she told me towards the final thing. And we left. We parted about 2:00 that afternoon. She went her way, and I stayed there at the room. And it started to rain. It was kind of getting chilly, so I decided to leave Sedona a day early and leave after that, because I thought I had enough to go on.
Enough weirdness for the day, right?
Weirdness for a day. But that wasn't the only weird thing. Before I left, there was a guy in a rocking chair. He looked like he was from 1880, had a cowboy hat on, and he was sitting in the chair and looking at me leaving. He said, I wouldn't leave if I was you. I said, what do you mean? I said, wait a minute. I said, why do you say that? He said, I wouldn't leave. And he pointed up at the weather, the clouds. And he seemed like he wasn't from here. He was from another dimension. And because just the day before that, I saw a guy and a gal in a 1957 Chevy station wagon, and they pulled up, and I was sitting on the front of the lodge. I was smoking a little cigar, and I looked, and this guy gets out, and he had a burr haircut. He's in his 30s. And then the woman gets up. I didn't see her very well. She went into the office real quick, like. And then this guy got out a little girl. He had her on a dog leash, a leash. Yeah, had a leash around her neck. And so when he went and sat down on the bench, and he had this little girl there, she had real sharp blonde hair. She had real piercing little blue eyes, and they sparkled. And then she barked like a dog. and I was looking around for a dog. I didn't see one. I looked over, and she barked at me, and she was barking better than a dog. And I went in. There I was, dumbed down from this dimensional magnetic energy that kind of dumbs you down. It says, don't grab a camera, don't grab a weapon, just be cool. So I walked back in the room. I sat down on the edge of the bed, and about a minute later, I woke up and I said, that's illegal. I'm going back out to let him know this. I said, I was going to get the girl off the leash, or I'm going to call the cops. They were all gone. I asked the manager, I said, did a woman just come in here and had a little girl on a leash and a guy sitting outside waiting? He goes, no, there's nobody. I said, you got to be kidding me. He says, all right. He says, you're fine. He says, because a lot of people see things like that around here. He said there's dimensional forces and things that happen. And he said, you just visited a dimensional thing back in time, 1957. But
I don't think they were putting kids on dog leashes and they were barking like dogs. I think you stepped into a parallel dimension where things were just screwed up or something.
Yeah. So that's why Sedona is so, screwy to me.
Yeah.
I ran into one other character there also in my visits there, but he was a Japanese guy too, and he had a room there in a lodge. And he told me before he walked by me in the parking lot there, and he said, have a nice sleep. And I thought, oh no. I said, you're not going to abduct me, are you? Because the other Japanese gal did that.
Yeah.
And but this was after this Hiroko thing. Here's the second fact that follows up. Okay, I kept my notes. I kept the story in my mind, and I told some people about the story, but I didn't really come out with it really full-fledged until it was March 17th of 2011. Her and two young boys come to my house in Godfrey, Illinois.
Same Hiroko?
Yes. She hit herself. I spotted them at the stop sign, and my cousin was sitting with me, and we were smoking cigars. Again, I quit that though, but we were smoking cigars and talking. He says, who are those Chinese that are coming this way? I said, they're not Chinese, they're Japanese. And he said, well, they're Asians. I said, yeah. And he said, do you know them? And I looked, and I saw the same little white sweater, the same denim pants, and a little tank top that she wore. She was walking towards us. Then she stopped, turned around, and faced the other direction. She didn't want me to see her face. She was about probably 125, 150 feet away from me. Didn't want me to see her face. The two young guys come up. They come up the driveway, and they were standing about 10 feet from us, and they asked me a question. They said, where's the new Walmart? And which was a crazy question to ask. And I said, it's just right over this overpass. And they said, okay. And then they stood there, and they looked at both of us. But at the same time, they were dumbing us down.
Same feeling.
Yes, I couldn't talk. And my cousin, who talks a mile a minute, and he's always quick to talk to new people or ask them who they are, what's going on. And I know he would have had both his feet in both these young fellas, but he was there quiet. I looked over at him. He looked like a zombie. He was just, he just was frozen. And I was able to move my head, and I looked at him, but I couldn't talk. I wanted to ask him if that's Hiroko, because I knew it was her.
Right.
And the two young boys, one of them looked like he was about 14, and the other one looked like he was about 16. He's a little taller. They were a little taller than the typical Japanese, to tell you the truth. But then they just stood there, and one just kind of shook his leg a lot. And I looked at his shaking his leg, and they noticed me observing this stuff. And so I was able to see things, but I couldn't talk. I could not talk. That's the first time it's ever happened to me. And but then I noticed that the taller one must have walked right past me, went in my house, and got a little brown attaché case. He brought it back out on the sidewalk. He opened it, and he was thumbing through it, and he's looking up at me while he was doing it. And I didn't think a minute. I didn't think for a minute that this was my case, and that he he walked past me without me knowing.
But it was your case. It was something yours.
Yes, because they walked up with nothing in their hands.
Right.
Of course, I think they had these little tools in which it looks like a little flashlight. It's about 5 inches long. It's about an inch or so wide. I've seen these things a couple of times, and what they do is it's a magnetic energy thing that they shoot on you, and they just and you're numbed.
It's got the Men in Black, like,
Right.
look at the red blinking light.
Yeah. So it's not. This wasn't. They don't use lights.
I
They
know.
use an energy that flashes out from this.
Yeah.
But I was sitting there, and then all of a sudden they turned and they started walking away. And then after they got past my road, my yard, then I was able to see what they were doing. They went up, they met with Hiroko, and then they finished. They walked up to the stop sign. My cousin come out of it, and he said, when did you see him leave? I said, there at the road. And he said, I just now saw him leave, just now saw him going up the road. I said, really? He said, yeah. He said, what is going on, Dave? He said, this is some crazy effing stuff. I said, I'll explain it to you. Okay, I'll explain it to you. I said, let's watch these people. They walked up to the stop sign. Apparently, we must have just flashed for a second. We turned to each other. We looked. We turned back. They were gone. They were just, boom, just gone. Like they were beamed up or whatever. They didn't walk down the road or up the road because we could see both ways quite a bit of distance. They did not walk up either side of the road. So he says, he gets up, he turned pale white. He said, damn, Dave, he said, you and this ET stuff. He said, those were ETs, right? And I said, yeah, you guessed it. And I said, I'll tell you more about it. I said, when you get better. He said, I'm getting out of here. He was scared. He got in this truck and he took off. And his wife told me the next day, said, what'd you do to him? I said, I didn't do anything. I said, he met some ETs. And she said, ETs? I said, yeah. I said, ET.
We're coming up in about 5 minutes in our commercial break. I want to unpack so much to unpack that you got there. But the attaché case, was that where you kept all your journals about all your incidents of what happened?
Yes, that was Hiroko's notes I had in there.
So he was looking through that. Now, was anything missing after they left?
No.
Nope. So they left it. They just wanted to see it.
Well,
now,
they wanted to show me that they saw it. I think
true. Obviously.
Control.
Well, what I'm interested in, too, a lot of contactee or abductee experiencers, when you get into the semen being taken or the ovaries being taken, stuff like that, and having hybrid children, that they'll sometimes introduce these hybrid children in everyday life in ways. Do you think it's possible Hiroko could be a genetic offspring of you from an experiment that they're doing?
I've had a couple of people. I went to a convention one time, and there was a lady who she did spiritual readings. And she was really good. She works with this dolphin thing or something down in Florida. And I was walking through these little booths. I went to this UFO convention in Arkansas, and she called for me to come over. I said, no, I don't want a reading. I'm not into the psych. She said, no, I noticed something about you. She said, come here. And I went over and said, what? What is it? She said, you've been abducted and you met an ET, haven't you? I said, yes. She said, just recently. I said, yes. And I said, it was a hybrid. She said, don't explain me. Don't tell me what she looked like. She said, I'll tell you what she looks like. I guess I got pictures of her in the room. I can go give. She said, no, I'll tell you what she looks like. She has a square jaw and cheekbones that are not familiar with Asian or Japanese, descent.
Does this sound familiar to you, Jamie and Rob? Does this sound really familiar? Can you know where I'm going to go with this?
I believe so.
Okay, so I have a friend of ours who's an alien abductee, wrote an excellent book, which you need to write a book, called Incident at Devil's Den. His name's Terry Lovelace.
Yeah.
And the description that you're giving of this woman sounds just like a description of a woman that he encountered during in his own living room that communicated. Wasn't happy about him writing his book. This is what I keep thinking of when you're talking about. Very similar. And when you just start talking about the description.
I was messaging Rob back and forth because I was trying to remember exactly who it was because I thought this sounds really familiar to me. This
right.
part.
I knew you guys were sitting here going, this sounds so familiar. It's the name of the book's Incident at Devil's Den. I've had Terry on 3 times now. 3 times or 2 times? 3 times. I can't remember now. He's an excellent guest. Is just as excellent as you are because I'm totally enthralled by this story. But there are some real big similarities here.
I had him on my show 2 weeks ago, Terry Lovelace.
So then you're hearing it. See, did you guys talk about this? I'd love to hear you guys together.
Right. We talked about the Asian thing, and he said, yes, it was an Asian gal. It said she was, I think he said Japanese. I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
I don't know if he was Asian, but we discussed it. I said, what I try to do is not, when I'm interviewing a guest, and I liked Terry, he was a nice guy. and he told a good story about that big craft and his abduction and the lights that they had and things. It was really interesting. I found that story that they were in this park, Devil's Den Park, and they were abducted then. But they were burnt. They were hurt.
Oh yeah, he has a lot of, not just that. That's why I said Terry Lovelace says I'm an abductee. He does not like the experience. He's had a lot of physical abuse over the years from it, including that incident at Devil's Den, which almost killed him.
Right.
So there's some differences too. Like you know, there's some big differences there. But when you're talking about the woman, that's the big thing. I'm like, wow, that sounds really familiar. You know, and I think Terry's received some abuse because he did write a book. So I don't know. Things could change for you if you decide to write a book about it. But you're on radio shows talking about it. So I mean, it's just the same.
Yeah, they told me I can probably write a couple of books. I've actually approached some people that would film a documentary or a story that you can make a short story out of this Hiroko, this Hiroko hybrid thing and everything. But yeah, I what happened after that was, I had a regressed, very powerful lucid dream that I was back in that room at the lodge, after meeting Hiroko, and I was sleeping, and I had my right leg in the air again, and then there was a tan brown hose going towards my groin area, and I thought, what is this again? I said, no, and I kicked it away like I did before. It's just almost like deja vu, and then I saw a hand come down with the hose, and then I was out again, and there might have been Hiroko's baby. I don't know,
right?
So that's when I'm putting together. But not only that, but I went back the next following year. I took pictures of the room, and when you take pictures and you walk that area, that same area, it comes to you. It comes back to you, especially with pictures. I don't know why, but it did. And I walked that room. There was somebody that held my arms. There was two of them walking me, and they had a real powerful light. It was about 6 inches wide. It was tubular, and it was really powerful and bright. They were erasing my memory of what went on, but apparently they didn't get everything, because I saw the object. It was tubular, really bright. It hurt my eyes. I turned away. I saw the patio windows, and I saw somebody else sitting at the table. Hence, 3 people. You have the Earthling that is a sponsor. You have their security, which was that young guy in the car with the headset, and then you have the hybrid.
We're gonna have to get into more of that. We got to go to our commercial break here. This is incredible stuff, people, and we are going to open up the phone line so you can join the discussion. I'll give those phone lines when we come back from this short commercial break. All right, guys, we'll be right back with our guest Dave Emmons, alien contactee.
When Alex Gardner is asleep, he has an extraordinary gift. The government wants it, the scientists want it, but to keep it may cost him his life. It might be better if Alex didn't sleep at all, but he cannot resist entering the dreamscape. Can you? See Dreamscape in the West End and all over London now. Certificate 15. It takes an extraordinary adventurer to enter the dreamscape.
Do you wish for more paranormal and spiritual content? The Paranormal Chronicles magazine is a free digital magazine crammed with the very best in paranormal and spiritual articles and features. No sign-up, no subscription, just free reading and knowledge for you. Read today at www.paranormalchronicles.com/magazine.
This is an Apex Studio presentation.
Hi, I'm Barry, owner-operator of Barry's Barometer Barn. Lately, I bet you've been lying awake at night asking yourself, how many barometers do I really need? Well, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we think you need more than one. Otherwise, we're going to go out of business. Remember, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we don't know the meaning of high-pressure sales. Come on, folks, buy another barometer. I'm trying to put my kids through college. I've got a family to support and a secret mistress who isn't cheap.
Visit Barry's Barometer Barn, 000 Storm Drive. Come on, folks, buy a barometer. I'm Barry's older brother, Larry, and every time one of you people walk past the store without coming in, Barry beats me.
This has been a presentation from Tim Morgan's APAC Studio. For more almost professional amateur comic studio content, visit the APAC YouTube channel. Search APAC 2002. That's APAC 2002 on YouTube.
Paranation Magazine is a new paranormal magazine based out of Denver, Colorado. Our goal isn't just to give you the best paranormal content out there, but to promote paranormal unity. We're doing this by giving everyone an opportunity to tell their stories and to share their experiences. For more information, follow us on Facebook at Paranation Magazine and soon, paranationmag.com.
For every earthling who's ever dreamed of adventures beyond the stars comes the astonishing story of one who made it, Alex Rogan.
You have been recruited by the Star League to defend the frontier against Zur and the Kodan Armada.
Of all the life forms in all the galaxies, one has been chosen to be the last starfighter. The Last Starfighter, with the film of the #1 hit Do They Know It's Christmas, the official Band-Aid story. In the West End and across London now, rated PG.
The night is alive. Join us and take a walk on the weird side when you tune in to the Kingdom of Nye, hosted by Heather Wade, the finest in late night talk. Listen live free weeknights starting at 9 p.m. Pacific time at thekingdomofnye.com, talkstreamlive.com, and the Paranormal Radio app. Wanna take a ride?
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do Voices from Beyond, the Cold Case Files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from Talkstream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
In the beginning, the universe was created. This made a lot of people very angry and has been widely regarded as a bad move.
Tonight on Paranormal Soup, we've been speaking to our guest, Dave Emmons. He's an alien contactee experiencer, and boy, these experiences, I've been just enthralled. There's so much I want to unpack and question, but I don't want to stop him from talking because his experiences are truly incredible. I can't help relate to other contactees and abductees I've had on the show. There's so many coincidences, and there's things that are different. And that's what we're trying to figure out. Like Dave said, it's a puzzle we're trying to pull together. I have my own experiences I'm not even ready to talk about yet on this show. Totally, I've mentioned a little bit. I'm trying to figure it out. So that's why I'm so fascinated by this topic and hearing everything he has to say on this and his experiences. I mean, this is something that I think is affecting a lot of people out there that are experiencing things very much like Dave is. Maybe on a lesser level, maybe on a bigger level, but they don't. It's hard to come out and talk about it. Yeah, we're a much open, more society. We have the small disclosures from our government happening, but it's still faux pas to say I'm an alien abductee or contactee. It's hard for people to talk about it. That's why I do the show. We have to talk about it. We have to get it out there. We have to put this puzzle together because something's going on in our skies. Something's happening in people's bedrooms at night, and some people are being taken. We need to figure this out. It means probably more than what's going around right now. The media dangers we're all seeing with coronavirus and all that. Well, this has been going on for a long time. What is going on? That's what we're getting to. So have you had an experience, seen a UFO, believe you could have been an abductee, or are you totally convinced of it? Whatever. You want to join in the conversation, we got the phone lines open. You can call in at 219-230-4444 or 260-225-9419. And there's also 2 Skype IDs, Jblandoo, that's Jblandoo, or Jblandparanormalsoup. Call in. You'll hear us talk and wait till we call on you. If I hang up on you, it's because I got somebody else on the line. Just try calling back a little bit later. But let's go ahead and get back to our guest. Truly, Dave, there's so much I want to unpack from what you've talked about in the first hour, of our interview. I mean, like one, when you brought up the 96 encounter of seeing the alien in the bedroom, the difference is the fact that it didn't look like the typical gray description, that it had the wrinkly kind of skin, the eyes. That is something other people have described. And it also reminds me, even though it's not really the Travis Walton experience, but the movie of Fire in the Sky. The aliens in there were very much, they kind of depicted them like that, and that they had the gray appearance was a suit. I don't know if you remember that from that, if you ever seen that movie. Right. And even in I've seen that depicted somewhat, I think even in Communion, Whitley Strieber, the movie they made of that. Now the movies are, if you read the books compared to the movies, they're so bad. The differences are so bad, especially Travis Walton's. They really need to redo that. But I find it interesting that it has that not typical alien that you're talking about has been depicted in Hollywood and has been told and talked about by other abductees. What do you think the difference is, in your opinion, what you've learned between the gray alien that that's typical and what you experienced?
Well, right now I'm not convinced anymore after I saw this picture about 5 or 6 weeks ago, and I'll probably talk about that real quick here because what's happened to me in the last 6 weeks. I can talk maybe an hour on it. So I'll be running out of time if I don't get to the newer stuff. But I'd like to explain what happened to me in one of my, this was after Hiroko. This was in 2011. This was in February and March that I was abducted. Here's what happened. You go through a sequence. I think most people might go through this. It was 1:30 in the afternoon. I was at my computer and I felt really tired. I was really getting groggy. So I went in, laid on the bed and rested my back. And I had my chin in my elbow, and I was looking out the sunny door and everything. And I could see, the sun shining in, and I wasn't asleep. I was very, very conscious. And I don't usually take naps. I just laid down, rested my back. And then I started turning around, and all of a sudden I felt a shock. I heard a lot of crackling noises in behind me. On the side of my bed, and it sounded like he took a whole box of saltine crackers and cracked them over a loud microphone, and it was just static electric is what it was. I turned and it hit me in the shoulder. I straightened out. I couldn't move, but I moved a little bit more. When I did, it hit me again. So I was really dead then. My whole body was just stiff, and I could see I can see. With my eyes out the door, I can see, that direction, but I couldn't see any other direction. And I heard my sister's voice coming from the hallway. She said, "Come on, Dave, you can do it. Come on, you can do it." And I said, "Do what, sissy?" That's what I called her. She goes, you can do it. I said, come to the doorway where I can see you. She said, I can't. I said, come to the doorway. Well, the strange thing about that story, she died 4 years before that.
That's what I was wondering. Wow.
And her voice comes, they either mimicked her voice from my memory and they brought it back to me. I don't know. But the second thing that happened to me while I was laying there, and they were still, I still heard the static behind me, so I didn't dare try to move, or because it hurt when they hit me. And the second thing I noticed was a baby's hand was dropped in my left hand at the headboard. I had my left hand in the air, and it was a baby's hand. I felt the fingers, I felt the palm, pulled it down. They allowed me to move my fingers, apparently. So I felt the baby's hand. I said, oh no, what's this mean? You know, I was thinking, I said, what does this mean? I heard my dead sister's voice. Like, now I feel this baby's hand. And in behind me, I had this static electricity going on. And what really got me was something sat down beside me at my waistline. It was solid and it was kind of heavy. I don't know who it was or what it was, but when they did that, and I heard a lot of other people have said this too, they scream out, "Oh God, help me!" And so that's what I did. I screamed out, said, "God, help me," because I was able to talk and I was able to move my eyes in one direction. And about 5 seconds later, this thing got up and left. It was all gone. I got out of the bed, ran up and down the hallway, and I called my scientific friends and I told them what had just happened. And I had several people that I was, researching with, and there's one lady who was a biological scientist, and she knew a lot about these types of things. And so I called her. She was my shoulder that I kind of leaned on, and she told me, "You were just abducted." She said that electrical shock, I interviewed people that were electrically shocked like that too while they was being abducted. And I said, well, I kind of figured it was an abduction. And I talked to David Jacobs, and and he told me, I told him about the electrical shock and being abducted, and he kind of giggled a little bit. And I said, "You laughing at me?" He goes, "No, I would never laugh at an experiencer, number one. Number two," he says, he said, you didn't, that wasn't the, he said that was the end of the abduction. They already had you. And
they were dropping you off.
Yeah, they were dropping me back. And he said, when you felt all those electrical shocks. And he said, that's what people have. He said, I've had other people. I said, I've never heard of that. I said, this is the first time I ever felt it or knew of it. And he said, no, there's been other people that's had electrical shocks when they were abducted. I said, oh, wow. So I was getting pieces of the puzzle on my own, like we were saying a while ago, Jason, that I was looking for those pieces, and I would talk to people and try to compare notes. But I think most experiencers, they should come forth and talk about this stuff. I had another shock another time. I was abducted, I think, probably 3 times within a period of 2 weeks or so. I have it in my notes, and it was in late February. I think it was February 4th. Probably the same time I started getting pictures here at the house, so I just, and there was another time in March, first part of March. And then on March 17th is when I saw Hiroko and her 2 friends. And then April 9th, I went to a convention in Arkansas again with a buddy of mine. And he stayed at my house, but he didn't tell me for 3 months later that something solid rubbed up against his feet while he was in the other bedroom, my spare bedroom. And it took him 3 months to tell me because he didn't want to scare me. I said, you can't scare me. I said, I've been through all this stuff. Yeah. I've been there and done that. And he was a ghost hunter. And he said, I know the difference between a ghost and an alien. He said, this was definitely solid. And it was an invisible alien. They're invisible. These aliens move around and they're invisible. I can find them with my tri-field meter. The last 6 weeks I've been locating where they're at. And they don't like the laser. You point a laser in a direction that you're getting the energy from, the meter just starts quivering, and they don't like that the laser light.
Well, I've heard a lot from reading and interviewing and talking to alien abductees. I'm no David Jacobs at all, but it's something I've really been interested in for my own personal reasons. And what doesn't get talked about a lot is after the paranormal or after the abduction experience, there's all these weird paranormal things happening in their home. and like the entities are still there. I'm a big Star Trek fan. I don't know about you, but like in Next Generation, they did a lot where they would show them in these invisible suits monitoring these like pre-civilization kind of other aliens that they couldn't violate the Prime Directive. If they are doing these experiments on us, you got to wonder if they are on this constant monitoring and that they have technology for stealth and cloak.
Yes, they do. I can talk about that in my new events that I just had last month or so, and these actually, one of the events was one of the most scariest. But I'll go into where I saw the big triangle craft, in which was April 9th. This is 2011. This all happened within about a year's time, and this I think it was brought about by Hiroko. All this stuff, the abductions and everything. At that time, I think she was the cause of it. But earlier, I believe it was the Greys that were responsible for a lot of my contact. But I was standing outside. It was about 8:30 in the evening, and it's kind of cloudy. And I was talking to my brother on the phone, and rest his soul, he just died 3 years ago. But I was talking to him, and I saw two big bright lights coming towards me from the north and over the neighborhood. And I told him, I said, I'm going to hang up here. I'm watching something really interesting. At that time, I don't think I had a camera on my phone. It wasn't that good, so I didn't even think about it. I think it was a home phone I had outside. Yeah, a remote, one of those wireless phones.
Yeah.
And so I stood there and I looked. I saw this thing it was only about 50 feet in the air. It was huge. It covered 9 houses. It covered the whole street.
And you interviewed Terry Lovelace, and his triangle shape sounds very much like that.
Right, and the two bright lights on the end were really bright, and then in the center it had a some kind of a I guess what you would call it. It looked like a trough all the way down the center of the ship, and then towards the middle of the triangle, it had a 30-foot wide diameter vent. It looked like vent slats. And that's where I first heard the hissing and blowing sound coming out of that vent. And I thought that's what turns red. A lot of times they see these things that turns red. I guess that's when they're at hyper velocity. And then in the front, which is really weird. And I just talked to my buddy Dave Marler about this. He's under the triangle thing. He wrote the books and everything. But I asked him, I said, in the front of the nose, it went over my house. I said there was 2 globes. They looked glass. They were hanging down in the front, 2 of them, and they were 15 feet long and about 5 or 6 feet wide. They weren't lit up. They were just dimly lit. And I thought, okay, those 2 globes, that's where all the light comes from when they light up, like they're going hyper velocity. All 3 are lit up and going. But this thing come over the house, and I looked up in awe. And I thought maybe I seen it all, but when I saw this craft, as large as it was, the other ships I saw were small, but this one here was huge, and it just went over about 30 miles an hour. It clipped the tree on the other side of the road, front of my house.
Like actually hit the tree?
Yes, it actually clipped the tree. I saw the tree. Then when it went over, it was really, really low. It's about 50 feet. And when it went by, it went over my house and went to the south and disappeared in the clouds. I said, "Oh my God!" So my mom, here's something. My mom just lived 4 houses down from me. I had 2 brothers there visiting her at the time. They all saw it, and my mom, she was about 86 at the time, maybe 85. She said she would not get out on the porch because her past history with UFOs that she doesn't talk everything about, but she's pretty much she talks about things like UFOs, but she said she didn't want to stand out on the porch and look at this thing in total because she was afraid of being abducted. I said, wow, what a thought, Mom. I said, what put that in your mind? She goes, well, we've all had our experiences. And I said, well, they're not abducting from the ship that I know of. And my other 2 brothers saw it too, and they'll never forget it. I mean, this was huge. It was. I called the sheriff's department, asked if anybody else saw it, and I said, "Don't laugh at me." And the gal that was on the she was on the call line, the 911 call line, dispatcher. She said, "No, we're not laughing." She said, "I got a couple of officers standing in here now," and she said that they both have seen weird things.
Oh wow!
But she said we haven't seen this one. She said this one wasn't reported, but she said they have seen things. And I said, good. You don't think I'm crazy? Then she goes, no, we don't. So, that's the one that I kind of thought it'd come over my head. And I thought, why did it come over my head? The center of the craft was right over my head. Why did it come by me? I had another one cross my path on Highway 55 coming back from Springfield, Illinois. I had another craft that looked like a bright light it was going north and I was going south. It was on a 4-lane interstate. And I saw this bright light coming up on the side of the road. I thought it was a helicopter, and it got closer. So I slowed the car down. And when I did, this saucer flew right over my car. It was a small saucer, probably about 25 feet wide. It had like glass at the bottom. It was lit up like pie cuts. And in the center was a large black center circle. And I said, oh no, why me? I got home. Actually, it propelled me in time. I got home 40 minutes faster getting to my house because it's about an hour and a half, or hour and 40 minutes away. I got home 40 minutes faster because I pulled up in the driveway around midnight, and I left there in Springfield about 11. And
it wasn't because you were hitting the gas. It was you were going the same. So you think it moved you?
Yeah, I can't explain it, but yeah, it was I was with a gal one time. We went to a spiritual meeting, and she said that I got to the spiritual center 10 minutes quicker. And she looked at me funny. She knew my ET background. She said, "Are you an ET, Dave?" I said, she was serious. And I looked at her, I said, "Not that I know of." And, so she said, "Well, I've never beaten this time." She said, "You got here in 10 minutes. It usually takes 20. I said, "Really?" So I don't know what happens. I mean, what happens, those little things you can't prove. They're not, there's something that's just in your mind. You're thinking about it. And if it happens again, then you're looking for it for a fact. If it happens again, then I think, okay, that's a fact. They're moving time. They do know time. They know your future. They know where you're going to be. They always know where you're at. And I've had 2 implants now. I've had one in my left leg, and I took it out. I got pictures of that. That one was a little dark clump. It looked like it was weird, and it just started dissolving right away, even after I put it in a plastic bag. And I dug it out of my left leg. There was a little red hole, reminding me of the little red line that I had before. Right. It was a little red hole, and I scratched it, and out pops blood, and I pulled, and out popped that thing. And it was one of the implants that I know Hiroko probably put in me. So I got that one out, and I got a lot of pictures of that, a lot of pictures. And so those are the things leading up to this. Now I guess I should get into the recent things, because I think this is what kind of scared me. I saw a reptilian in my bedroom in Godfrey back in 2012, and it was about 5.5 feet tall. It looked like a cobra, and they scared me.
See, I hate snakes. The whole reptilian thing creeps me out. So I'm going to be sitting here going,
yeah, but I didn't like it either. I got up, I looked under the bed, and I looked everywhere. I said, "Oh my God, is a snake?" But it was standing there when I woke up to go to the restroom at about 6 a.m, and I thought, "Oh no." I looked at it, and it faded away. It appeared, and it was gone. I guess they just wanted to show me that they were there. But no, the past 6 weeks, as I said, my wife went to the Philippines for a couple of months, and she might be stranded there because of this virus stuff. And she, went to visit her daughter, that she had her first grandbaby. So she was proud of that. So she had to be there.
Yeah.
She left. And a day or so later, I have this motion detector in my house, and I got it in the back, and I got one in the front. It'll tell me if something comes in the house or whatever. And it works perfectly. It's a perfect little unit, and it never has failed. It always does its job. The batteries were fine. Everything was great. And about 12:30, it went off. I went downstairs with my gun and with a bright flashlight. And I said, I think that, I'm looking for nothing here. So I walked through the house. I was scared because this system never fails. I knew something had to be in the house, or there's some movement. So I walked around. I said, nope, I guess not. So then I went back to bed, and then 2 hours later, it happened again. But I just laid there this time, listening for sounds, and I was getting so sleepy, and I laid back down. I fell asleep again, and then it happened again 2 hours later. seemed like 2-hour intervals. So I knew being intelligently controlled. And so it kept me up most of the night. And about 8 o'clock in the morning, my wife had called me and said that, you know, that she was at the condo and stuff and everything's fine. And so it was the last I heard that alarm go off. So what I said to myself, and my wife even said it, she said, your friends are back. And my wife is a believer. She's in academia.
Yeah.
She's got a master's, and she, you know, everything's got to be laid out for her in numbers or words. But she, after being with me for 7.5 years, she knows what I've been through, and she's actually had things touch her on the legs, and on the she had a scrape on her back that the doctor couldn't figure out. They must have took a skin or DNA sample from her back.
It's like a scoop mark?
Not a scoop. It was a scrape.
No.
It was like a
Just
scrape. Yeah. Looked like a razor, just scraped it lightly or whatever. So, and it turned brown and it went away. I think it finally went away after about 3 years. But no, she's a believer in what is going on with me. But I thought, okay, I'm going to do something here. I got out the trail cam, put new batteries in it, put the trail cam on my kitchen table, and it was infrared, and I put it on the video, and I had 12-second video shots. And the next day I went down and I took a look at it, and must have been about maybe 10 or 12 videos on there. Sometimes it would just go off and you wouldn't see anything. But this thing is so good, it won't go off unless something is causing it to go. So, but in those pictures, I saw some orbs. I got a video of orbs, 4 orbs floating into one wall, out of one wall into another wall. And I got the video of that. And the scariest thing I got, and I looked at it again and again and again. I sent it to a friend of mine who he's into UFOs and stuff. He's got an article that he writes. He's a writer. And I also sent it to a MUFON field investigator who's pretty experienced at these things. So I sent that to them, and I didn't think much of it, but I was looking at something that was weird. I saw some undulating, moving like flesh, and it looked like a real rough flesh. The video was really dark because this thing got right into the video, into the camera, and it was so close to the camera, it just didn't have enough, to get any light in there to see it really well. So you could see the skin kind of moving, and it's got little whiskers. This thing has little whiskers on it, and it has like little bumps, like alligator bumps, and then it turned up its head and was squinting its eyes. That's the reason why it was the skin was moving from this red, the red diodes from the infrared. And when it pulled up its head, I saw its eyes. I saw it blink twice, and I saw it was a kind of like a yellow gold color eye.
Wow.
Yeah, and this thing is really creepy. And I looked at it and I sent it to my friends, and they said, "Yes, you're seeing a reptilian." I said, "Oh no." I thought there for a while it could have been a gray, but these guys said, "No, it's reptilian." I need to clean the video up. I've been trying to look for somebody to clean it up, because this is an actual picture of something that was in my house, come through the door, walked past 2 sensors, and apparently I don't know where it went. Upstairs where my bedroom's at, I don't know. But
I would love to take a look at it. I'm not a video expert, but I have some experience, and I'd love to take a look at it. I'd love to have you back on the show when you're ready to show this kind of stuff, because we're webcast, and have it up to show if you're wanting to do that sometime too.
Yeah, I might do that. Yeah. And since you got your computer savvy that you can throw the pictures up there, I also have what they call, you ever heard of the Michelin Man? The Michelin Man ET?
Well, except for a video I remember showing of a flying humanoid that looked like a Michelin Man. Yeah,
well, this buddy of mine from St. Louis, the one who was the investigator for MUFON, he interviewed a colonel from the Air Force who talked about these Michelin men, that there were aliens that were working with the Air Force, and he explained what they looked like. So I sent this picture. I didn't know what this was. It looked like a leg and a side with concentric circles, that 3, 2, 3, 2, like a uniform. And I thought, okay, this is weird. And he calls me. He said, "Dave, you got the Michelin Man on your camera too." He said, you've had a lot of activity, buddy. He said, you better take a closer look at these pictures. And I looked at them in sequence, and it was coming up the stairs towards my bedroom. So,
oh my God.
Yeah. So, yeah.
We got two people waiting on hold here. You all right taking some phone calls?
Sure, go
I know
ahead.
it's hard to stop because there's so much you have to say. We'll get to the first person called in. We got Zach that called in. How you doing tonight, Zach?
I'm doing pretty good, my man. How you doing?
Doing great.
Okay, so I just have just one question, and then I'll just share one of my experiences just to keep it nice and short. Hey, Dave. It's nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you.
So the question I have for you is, man, among all the experiences that you have had over the year, have any of the entities that you've encountered, have they ever given you an indication or outright said to you exactly where they originated from?
No, I haven't. I run into people who say they talk to aliens daily. It's hard for me to believe that because they telepathically talk to me. I was actually in a couple of real big regressed dreams I didn't get into in which they telepathically talked to me, but they didn't tell me anything. I want to know more. Actually, the ones that's been messing around my house, they haven't confronted me. They haven't really. One was standing next to me, and my camera caught it, and wouldn't have caught it if it wasn't for the infrared. But they're not telling me anything. They have actually left little things like A-ports, like little plastic disc and stuff. That's another whole story.
So you're like I said, a lot of people experiencing the abduction experience have a lot of these similar to ghost or haunting paranormal experiences.
Right. And they just let you know that they're following you, and they want you to stay interested in them for some reason. I don't know. But yeah, I haven't had, I wish they would tell me what they're doing. I wish they would come to me and tell me some technology or tell me something that would help save us from this virus. Yeah, I always think that way. So what are your thoughts? I mean, the caller. Hello, the caller's still there?
Yeah, no. Yep, I'm still here. Sorry.
Keep going, Zach. What are your thoughts on what he just said?
Well, I certainly would like them actually to, get us some kind of resolution over to this virus for sure, or even provide some insight into maybe where it came from, which I already have an indication where it already came from. But I mean, that's a topic.
Well, their topic,
right, for another day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Zach. You said you had an experience you want to share. Let's go. We have people kind of call in, so go ahead and share.
Yeah, I'll make it nice and short. I'll just use my first real experience encountering a being. It's happened in about 2009. I came out of my backyard. My mom called me back out there, and she says, "Zach, look up at the sky." And I see this bright flash in the sky. I'm like, oh, that's really weird. But then I saw it again twice, and I didn't think much of it at the time, so I went back and I went to bed. Well, the next morning, I wake up and I'm on my left side, and I can't move, but I feel like somebody is there in the room with me, and I feel like somebody was put their finger right up against my lower back, like they're pressing a button on my lower back, and all of a sudden, I start vibrating and shaking, and I don't know what's going on, but I can't speak either, and I was able to get out, "Who are you?" And I'm doing it in a whisper, "Who are you?" And I feel some tension loosen up off my neck, and I'm able to turn my head a little bit, and I look over, and I see this tall entity, pale skin, long blonde hair, regular eyes like us, but they were all white pupils in a light blue jumpsuit, just staring at me. And all I kept saying was, "Who are you? Who are you?" Didn't answer me at all, just kept staring at me. And then finally, I felt just all the tension, the shaking, it all just stopped. And this being was gone. And I'm thinking, oh, crap, what just happened to me? And in some ways, I take a look back now at it, and I think it was just some sort of validation that, somebody recognized that I was getting into the UFO, activity, researching about it on my own. And I guess that was really their way of acknowledging that, hey, we're here. we do exist. So
that's great.
That's my experience.
It's great that you was able to see the entity. That's I've heard of the actually pale blue or pale light skinned tall Nordics, whatever, the blonde. I've never seen one of. I did see a tall woman in my very lucid regression, and she was about 7 feet tall, and she had no hair on her head, but she had hair on her arms. I was able to see that when she went for a control panel. And so their control panel just consisted of just round metal. It looked like the same color the same makeup of the walls. And she would just wave her hand over it, and then she would disappear. And then I followed her out, and I disappeared with her, and I got back, I guess, in my bedroom. But that's a long story. But this I wanted to find out more about your question.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's an amazing experience, Zach. And, that sounds like the tall Nordic alien experience that a lot of people have encountered.
Right. They're the nice ones.
Yeah.
It wasn't the first, but I mean, I'm definitely not afraid to share any of my experiences. But anyway, thank you so much, Dave, for answering my question. It's a pleasure hearing everything that you're saying. And just before I go, man, thank you so much for your service.
Yes.
Thank you for calling, and thank you for helping me. You're helping me actually put those pieces of the puzzle together. Like
exactly.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Zach. You have a great night, because we got lines filling up here. All right. Let me get to the next call, because we got other people trying to call in. Hold up. Who we got? 405 area code. Who do we got?
Hey, it's your buddy old pal Tyler.
Hey, Tyler. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, what's going on? I'm so intrigued with your guest tonight. They have awesome accounts and letting us all feel, who's has experiences, make us feel more comfortable talking about this, My question more is about the ships that you've seen. My dad is very well into the military himself, and he's taught me, the difference between commercial airplanes and military. So like they got their lights, but so every now and then I'll see in the sky stuff that doesn't match with the airplanes. And I mean, I can see them ways away, just blinking. And then there was this one time it just, I don't know how to explain it. It just disappeared within the clouds, and then it just wasn't there no more.
Was it really fast? It moved fast?
It like, as soon as the cloud went right over I don't know, it could have been a star or not, but it was brighter than the star. And it was just blinking. I'm just staring at the sky. I'm like, what is that? Like, it's blinking. Like, it's like a light bulb going on and off.
Yeah.
And then eventually it stopped. It was gone.
So you were scared.
So what color? What's that?
Were you scared?
I was a little intrigued by it. And a little like shocked, like that I just kind of like seen my first like UFO encounter there. I mean, because we've had about 7 videos leaked out a couple of years ago of flying saucers going around our skyscrapers and stuff and hovering around the city.
Well, now's the time to go out and look. At night during the quarantine, a lot less air traffic. I can tell you, I live in a place where I see constant air traffic. Now I go outside and there's barely anything. So now's the time to go look for those UFOs, Tyler.
Our jet's been going on and off, but it's quiet in the skies tonight.
But I think kind of your question, Tyler, too, is like the differences in ships that you've seen.
Like the colors, like the lighting, like what's the color of the light bulbs that you see on the ships?
What colors have I seen? Mostly just white and a red light. There's a little red light, and there's a little red light on the big triangle craft too. And there's one on the first one that I saw. The other craft that I saw, I didn't have the red light on it. The bottom was lit up on one of them, looked like a pie shaped thing, and it didn't have any red light that I saw from the bottom. The other craft that was next to me on the highway, it looked like a Tic Tac, like they call it. It was just a bright light, and I couldn't really make out the features of it, but I felt it because I got this magnetic sedation. They just put you under, and I had to pull off the side of the road because they were uploading or downloading and tracking me, and I knew that, so I didn't want a cop to catch me. He probably would have thought I was drunk. But no, feelings are very important too. When you see something or something happens to you, when you go into higher frequencies and they make you walk through doors and walls, it hurts. It burns. I went through a metal door, and I had this, it was a lucid dream. I had scientists tell me that it wasn't a dream, it was real. They walked me through my steel insulated door. I didn't want to bump my head, so what I did is I stuck my arm through the door, and when I was halfway through, it started burning. My body got really hot, and I felt really nauseous. I was very, disoriented. And so I figured I better walk through the rest of the door. So feelings have a lot to do with experiencers, how they felt and what happens to them afterwards. Is were they nauseous? Were they dizzy? Were they hot? Were they hurting? These things also count in an experiencer's viewpoint.
Well, Tyler, thank you for calling in. I got to let you go because I got the phone lines are blowing up here. Thank you so much, bud.
No problem, buddy. Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you, guys.
Just remember, if you're calling in, people.
Services, sir.
Yeah, thank you for your service. Thank you, Tyler. For people calling in, if I hang up on you, it's because I got somebody else on the line. Just keep trying to call back. We got somebody else here, 860 area code. Who do we got?
Hi, Jason. Hi, Dave. This is Adrian from Connecticut.
Hi, Adrian.
I have a couple of questions for you, Dave. They're quick. Backing up to when you set your camera up and was at the kitchen table, did you say that was reptilian, something like that?
Yes, it's a reptilian face.
Okay.
Had his face.
All right. Now, you said it had whiskers. Were these whiskers tentacle-like on each side of the underside of the chin?
They tend to be under the underside of the chin. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. The camera doesn't show. He was probably looking sideways at the camera. He was trying to figure out what the red lights were, I guess, and they were infrared. And yes, you could be right because it looked like the side of his face was undulating. His skin was moving because his eyes were twitching. So you could be definitely right. That's a good piece of the puzzle. I've
seen one.
Yeah. Okay.
In daytime. That wasn't cool.
Really?
It wasn't a nice one either. I had one more quick question. Going back to that wrinkly face, 3.5, 4 foot tall being.
Right.
That had to do with reproduction. Do you remember what it was wearing?
No. I just saw its head, and it put me out before I could even really analyze anything about it. I just saw his neck and his head. He was short, and the bed was, the bed's about 3 feet. So it was just his head and his neck that I could see that he was staring at me. And but he was greenish gray in the dim light that I had, and he was just really ugly, wrinkly. He didn't look like the commercial brand of gray.
Okay, these might be a little bit different than the ones I saw because I had 3 of a particular kind show up, and that did have to do with reproduction too. All right, those were my only 2 questions. You can get on to somebody else. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, take care.
All right, let's get another one in here. We got 937 area code. Who do we got?
Hey, Jason, it's Justin Brown.
Hey, Justin, thanks for calling. I had a feeling you were going to call in. You had a lot of good questions. It's like so much I'm trying to get in here, but you did have some good points in the chat room.
Yeah, that kind of goes along with the lifestyle, right? So, real quick question for Dave. All these questions and interest and curiosity kind of stems from the experiences my mother had, and she pretty much brought me up and raised me on stories of ghosts and UFO sightings and abductions. And she had some pretty fantastic stories. She used to tell me when she was a child, these huge orbs of light would come out of the sky, land in her apple orchard, and these little childlike beings would come out and play with her and her sister. I mean, that's just an example. Wow. And she would have similar stories of, ones that you would typically hear in abduction scenario where she would wake up and they would be experimenting on her, removing limbs, doing all kinds of crazy stuff, taking her on voyages with groups of people. So my question is, do you feel like ETs or whoever these beings are, they choose people for certain reasons? Are they trying to harvest not only this kind of stuff you were talking about, but do you feel like you're targeted for any type of reason outside of just a random selection?
That's a very good question. I think a lot of people would ask that. I even ask it myself. They go back into DNA. Your DNA has a frequency to it, and they can pick up frequencies. And there was a guy told me a story, and which or I'll do it real quick. He was an Air Force guy back in the 60s. He was in this nightclub, and he was tall and lanky. He said he didn't think he was that attractive, but he said this real attractive woman come in, and she looked around, and then she looked at him. She said, "Can I sit down?" He said, "Yeah, sure." So she sat down, and he goes, "Why did you pick my table?" Said, "You're beautiful." And she goes, "See him over there? He's got a black aura. See that guy over there? He's got a red aura." She said, "You got a green aura. That's why I like you." And he said, "How do you know that?" So she said, "I can see it." And she said, "Well, I got to go." And he said, "Well, she said, I'll come to your room, your motel room. What room is it?" He told her, and he didn't think she'd show up, but she showed up. She come in, and she had sex with him for about 30 minutes. He said he felt like he was in another world, like he was numb, but he was going through the process of having sex with this woman. So that tells me that they pick you out through energy, through auras, through frequencies, DNA. They could be following your DNA line, just like they did my family. I've got several of my family members who've seen UFOs and no doubt have been abducted. But they believe me 100% because they've been involved in this, and my mom does too. And she's some things she actually holds back. So yeah, I think it's family. They once said it was American Native Indians that they tracked. I do have Crow blood in me, Indian, and but I'm not sure if that's the case. I think they track you by DNA vibrations and your energy. You also got to be open-minded and accept them. And I think that takes a little bit of tearing that box off your head and looking up. And actually, they know you're receptive to them. If they know that, they might show up to you. That's the only things I can say that I think that why they select you.
Right. So that's very interesting that you say that. My mother is a quarter Ojibwe Indian, which would make me a 16th. Yeah. I think that you're probably those make sense, because if they are selecting people and they're taking specimens or taking examples, they're taking genetic DNA material from you, as you said, that would seem plausible. It seems logical to me why you would infer that. So I just feel like there is some type of connection between extraterrestrial abductions and the whole realm of the paranormal when it comes to experiencing it, like you guys alluded to with the aports, with the paranormal phenomena that people perceive as maybe ghostly phenomena. It just seems like it all ties in, but what could be going on could be way larger than we can possibly perceive now. I mean, I guess there's a lot more to explore, but thanks for answering that, Dave. Appreciate it.
Thank you for calling. And I know that there's more answers that I could probably give, but those are the ones that I think are the best, the DNA vibrations. And they actually, when they put implants in you, they actually can change your DNA to a certain extent. And
So I've always wondered that.
Yeah, they can track you anywhere. If you've had if you had a implant and it's been taken out, your DNA is still affected, and they can track you anywhere. Like they're tracking me now. They know where I'm at now. They knew where I was at when I was in Alaska. So they follow you everywhere. They know by your frequency. It's just plain and simple. They tag you, they know your frequency, and they know where you're at.
Thank you, Justin, for calling in.
Thanks.
No problem.
Well, so much, like I said, I'm kind of exploring my own stuff that's happened in my past that I really didn't look at until and it's amazing that I didn't, because of all the stuff I've been interested in for so long when it comes to aliens, UFOs, ghosts, and all that stuff. I didn't really look at it until I had read Terry Lovelace's book, Incident at Devil's Den. It made me think about things that I wrote off. And that's what it seems like, because, you know, it's like your brain, it's like somehow they put something in your brain that makes you not look at it, look at these things that are happening in your life. They program you to, like your mom, like she didn't go on and go outside. She didn't want to talk about it. She wants it, like it programs you to look away from these memories until you're forced to.
Mm-hmm. Right. We none of us have the answers. I don't think any of us has really, except maybe the military or maybe the deep state, has even spoke or telepathically spoke with aliens. You know, some of the people that told me they talk to them all the time, I saw them go in the hospital.
Yeah,
not for physical reasons either. So
Yeah.
we have to judge ourselves. We have to actually be critical of ourselves when we go through these experiences. You have to say to yourself, is this real? Did this really happen to me?
And that's what I'm doing with me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not ready to talk about it because I'm still exploring it for myself. I want facts and truth and to know, but it did bring out things. I'm like, wow, I really didn't think about these experiences. I wrote all these. How did I write all these experiences off? Why did I look away from somebody who's totally open to the idea, somebody who's totally interested in the idea, but yet my own personal experiences I would look away from. I would not think about them.
They erased you. They know how to erase your memory, but they didn't get all of mine. They made a mistake.
That's what it seemed. You know, David, you brought up David Jacobs. I remember he stipulated that, you know, a lot more people are being abducted than we know of,
right.
And a lot of those people don't have any clue,
right,
that they're being abducted.
Yeah.
And I could understand that because it made what it was, you know, I see him. If I am part of this experience, what I've seen is that I something in me made me look away from it. And that's crazy because I'm totally in it, you know, but to look away from my own personal experiences for so long made me think really hard. How many people are not just thinking about what's been happening to them?
50% is the number where people have been abducted. They don't know it. They wake up in the morning. They think, I had a bad dream. They scratch their head, get their cup of coffee, and go on. And that's it. They don't remember anything because they've been totally erased. But some of us have too many incidents to have it totally erased, because you see, there's conscious things that I've been through. There's been so many seeds planted that if I have regressions, I know where they come from. I can put them together, you know. So
you can connect the dots
Mm-hmm.
to what happened. One of the things is too, you know, when you're talking about the feel of the ship, my one major UFO experience, I've actually seen a full-fledged, no doubt in my mind, it's an alien ship, was when I was like 16, and me and a group of friends in the middle of the night saw this rectangular shaped ship, no lights on it, but super massive. It was like the scene out of Star Wars when the Star Destroyer comes up over the screen. That's what it came up over my head. But right before it did, I looked up, and that made them all look up because I had this weird feeling, and I looked up, and here comes this thing. So I felt it before I saw it. Is one of the things I recognized from that instant. And I never understood that, but I felt it before I saw it. It made me look up because it was silent. It made no noise.
Do you think they put you out and the other guys out?
We were teenagers, and I know I went home really late. I wish I could know if we were missing time. We joked about it after the incident because we all stood there with our jaws open, you know, looking up. This is time of X-Files, you know, and all that. And so there was the jokes going around like, did we just get alienly probed? Are we missing time? None of us were wearing watches. We had no idea what time it was. We were, you know, teenagers.
I've never been probed that I know of. But yeah, I just was having a thought that these triangle ships, they could probably break away in threes, and that's why you see them look like a tic-tac. There's three sides. Maybe they break away in threes, and they're elongated, and they probably look like a tic-tac. Then they all get back together and form a triangle. It could be three ships in one.
I've always thought about the lights splitting up and going different. Like you see a triangle, and then suddenly the lights go different directions.
Right.
It could be something that we don't understand. It is one ship, but when it warps or does whatever it does, we see the lights going different directions.
Yeah, it's because the craft is kind of moving and shifting around.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's what it's doing.
You know, it's the experience that I really cut out of my brain that I just didn't look at as a camping experience. That's what Terry's book did for me, because his was a camping experience, you know, one of his major experiences. And that's what brought it out in me. But there's dreams I wrote off as dreams that I'm re-inspecting. Let's just put it that way, because it all connects. And the main thing I've talked about on the show on the paranormal side of things, but I've always said, people go, well, it's demonic. I've said, no, I felt it's alien-like, the presence of this. As I went through from 17, 18, this is after the camping trip. I went through this shadow person experience.
Oh, okay.
Where I would see short shadow people, but the main shadow person I would see was like 7 feet tall. And even had the hat person experience at one point. This thing tortured me for like 4 months. And I went through all kinds of hell with it. It almost drove me off the brink. But I never felt, I mean, I'm a Gnostic, so I question everything. But I never would quantify it as demonic. It felt alien.
Yeah, I never said anything was evil in any of my events. I had
well, this was I would quantify this as something evil like, because it didn't have good intentions. It was like playing a psychological experiment on me is what I felt like.
Right. I got a nephew that's been through the tall slender man events, and it usually attaches itself to young people. And
I was young.
Yeah. Yep.
And see, I've always wondered, the cloaking, if they're cloaked around people, like preserving the shadow person experience I had. I said my best way to relate it is something alien or interdimensional, which is semantics. It could mean the same thing for demons. I don't know, but that's how I felt about it. The reason I did is it made my skin crawl every time this thing would attack me at night. It made my skin crawl in a certain way, and then later on, I had a gray alien dream. I wrote it off as a dream, but in the dream, the gray alien made me feel just like I did with the shadow person, the way it made my skin crawl when it touched me. And I wrote that gray alien thing off as a dream, but after reanalyzing stuff that's happened and thinking about it, I'm like, God, it really felt really similar to the shadow person experience. Even though it wasn't a shadow, it was a gray alien I was seeing in my room, but I wrote it off as a dream. I just right away wrote it off as a dream. I wouldn't accept it. Well, and so now I'm looking back.
Yeah. If it's a lucid dream, you won't forget it.
Right.
When I have those very lucid regressions in the morning, I get up, I say, I remember everything about it, and I didn't have to write it down. And I remember the dates and the times when things like that's so fascinating happen to you. You don't forget it.
No, it's a scar in your mind. It'll never forget the dreams. There's other ones, but I never forgot them, but I wrote them off as dreams and wouldn't think about them.
Right.
They were impactful, but I would push them off and compartmentalize them and push them away. We got to go to our last commercial break. Phone lines are still open, guys. Call back when we come back from commercial break. If you still want to join the conversation or share your own experiences, we had some excellent callers in tonight. I can take some more the last half hour, but we'll be right back with our guest, David Emmons, talk more about his alien contactee experiences.
Intercepted transmission of unknown origin.
Transmission? Out here?
SOS.
Human.
Unknown.
Alien. Certificate X. Exclusive engagement at the Odeon Leicester Square. Now.
Any systematized transmission indicating a possible intelligent origin must be investigated.
In space, no one can hear you scream.
The international chart-topping Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest has been described as terrifyingly real, a must-read, shocking and chilling brilliance, genuinely worrying, utterly frightening. Don't read before bed. Described as one of the spookiest writers out there, best-selling author G.L. Davies presents Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest, the true paranormal account that is shocking the world. Dare you enter? Dare you read? Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, and wherever books are sold. Pray you never have to live there.
Phantasm, the film that puts the fun in funeral. And as for a fiendish story, it does have a burial plot. Come prepared to scream, because if this one doesn't scare you, you're already dead. Phantasm from Africa Embassy Pictures. Rated R, under 17, not admitted without prior autograph.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do voices from beyond the cold case files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
This fall, a new hard-hitting police drama is coming to Friday night. He was a well-to-do cop transferred to a troubled precinct downtown. His new partner is a space traveler with a passion for justice. It's Yuppie and the Alien.
Look, you might vaporize dissidents in Alpha Centauri, but in this precinct, we do it by the book.
I'm so terribly sorry, Captain.
Gugan, sorry. Don't miss this one-of-a-kind police drama. They're fighting crime the hard way, in designer clothes, with $250,000 sports car and a UFO.
Partner, let's go cruise in the car and look moody.
One tough downtown precinct, two outsiders doing things their way. Yuppie and the Alien on VBC.
If you are interested in discovering the truth about the paranormal and want to hear from leading researchers in the field, join Justin Brown on his 3 weekly shows named My Paranormal Soapbox, Necromancy Live Show, and the Supernatural Symposium, live on Facebook, YouTube, and
The night is alive. Join us and take a walk on the weird side when you tune in to the Kingdom of Nye, hosted by Heather Wade, the finest in late night talk. Listen live free weeknights starting at 9 p.m. Pacific time at thekingdomofnye.com, talkstreamlive.com, and the Paranormal Radio app. Wanna take a ride?
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from Talkstream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the 10-house gate. All those moments will be lost in time. Like tears in rain. Time to die.
Tonight on Paranormal Soup, we've been having an amazing discussion with Dave Emmons. He's an alien contactee experiencer. He's also a host of his own radio show. I already lost my notes on what the name of the radio show. We'll get that from you, Dave. But I'm totally enthralled by this story tonight. It's incredible, especially comparing to other people I know's experiences, the differences, the things that are alike. I love the phone calls tonight. We got somebody else waiting online, and you can still call in. We got a half an hour left. You can call in at 219-230-4444 or at 260-225-9419. And then Skype IDs Jblandoo or Jblandparanormalsoup. Call in. If I hang up on you, it's because I got somebody else on the line. If you hear us talking, just wait till we call on you. Let's go ahead and get back to our guest. We've still got people calling in. I don't want to run out of time. If you're all right, we're going to take another phone call here. Okay. We got 860 area code. Who do we got?
Hi, this is Zariana.
Hi, Zariana. Thanks for calling in.
Hi. You were, I don't know, for some strange reason, you and I have some kind of weird connection as far as, like, you said with the UFOs and things like that, and aliens or supposed aliens, and abductions and things. You had said that you had seen, like, the three triangles, or the three lights and then the big triangle.
Yes.
Well, I've seen that twice, and it was over specific sites in my state, and they seem to be hot spots for sightings, let's say. And I would see these three lights that would be flying in different ways, up, down, sideways, things like that. And then they would go back into this triangle shape, black. I call it like a mothership. And I've seen it twice. And after that, I would realize that I would have a missing time for like 1 to 2 hours after that. And I don't know if you've had that.
What?
He's had plenty of it.
After effects. What are you saying? After effects after seeing a triangle ship? Is that what you're at? No, I had an exhilaration by seeing something that huge over my head. I guess you could say I was in shock and awe, yeah, because of the majesty of it. That's about the only feeling I got from it. They didn't target me with any magnetic energy that I know of at that time, because I was just in shock and awe with it. But they talk about, you're seeing a lot of these triangle craft now, and on the show I had the other night with Dave Marler, we talked about the TR3 triangle craft at the
TR3B.
Yeah, that the military is supposed to have. Well, I was told they really don't have it, or they're not showing it, and also they will not fly over residential neighborhoods for an experimental craft, and they would not fly that low, 40, 50 feet off the ground of a ship that size, because they couldn't stay aloft without a lot of energy. We don't have that kind of energy to keep a ship aloft at that 40, 50 feet. And so to me, the things that I saw were not military. They were all ET, because they don't experiment over neighborhoods.
Well, it wasn't over a neighborhood. It was over a certain area that's in my state that has sightings, and so it's pretty much vacant. And like I said, this ship, or this mothership, was rather big. The only thing that I would like to know is that you, Dave, right? David? Right. Is that you you have been saying this magnetic energy,
right?
Or that you're feeling,
right,
when you get visited. I don't get that. I feel that. Well, I'm an empath. I'm a lot of things, but one of them is an empath, and I feel when they're going to be in the area, and so it's a little bit different for me. I don't. Could you explain that maybe a little more? I like I said, my experience is a little bit different, but.
Well, what the magnetic feeling feels like, Azariana? Is that what you're trying to get from him?
Yeah.
Like a few days before, like 3 days before, I'll be looking up in the sky, and I just have this weird feeling that there's going to be something going on, and then I know that they're going to be around. I may not see anything in the sky or see anything or feel anything. And then it seems that, and then by the third night, I get nervous pretty much, and I do want to hide from them, but they know where I am. So I can't, you can't hide from them.
Yeah. They're telepathically linking you, and they're finding out where you're at, and they're telepathically talking to you and letting you know that they're going to show up a certain time. And that happens too, that they actually will let you know to go somewhere or be somewhere. That's happened twice to me. And that's when I was able to observe some strange things. And they kind of tell you that they control your mind. The magnetic energy, what I'm talking about is that your brain is made up of electrons, and you have electricity in your body and in your brain. It's a big, I guess, a big capacitor in a way. And when they throw magnetic energy on you, what they do with your brain neurons, they slow them down, and it actually comes to a crawl in your mind, and you're really slow, and you're kind of out of it. You're kind of like dizzy, and you're kind of half asleep when they do that to you. So they have different doses, like I said earlier, but the magnetic energy will make you feel sometimes a little nauseous if you get too much of it. That's happened to me, and your skin will feel hot, and you will feel disoriented. You'll be dizzy, like I said, but it actually is meant to control your brain, and they use electronic and electromagnetic energy to do this because that's what our bodies and our minds are made up of. They know how to control us.
Okay. Well, I've been abducted or sensing them or whatever since I've been 5 years old, and it does run in the family. So I do agree with you on that. So I just don't want them to come back.
Yeah. Well,
and I'm sensing they're coming back.
I think sometimes you can wish them away. You don't think about them. You don't have them on your mind, and you can actually discard them. And I think that's what happens. But if you got curiosity and you've had experiences before, you're never going to live those down, and you'll never forget them. So what happens in your mind, it goes over and over, and they can telepathically link to you and find out where you're at. And if you want to see one, I told my brother, I said, if you really want to see one, then go out and look up, and you'll see one if you really want to. They show themselves to certain people. It could be the DNA energy, it could be telepathically or whatever. But you're it sounds like you've had some contact with these craft.
Yeah, I have. Like I said, I was ever since I was 5, I was abducted and things like that. So lots of experiences I won't go into. But anyway, okay. I think you're very interesting, and I would definitely read a book if you wrote it and whatever else. So thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zuriana, for calling in.
Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. One of the things we haven't brought up, you talk about the military aspect of it. Like, military wouldn't fly a test craft like that over a residential area. It doesn't seem like the aliens want to either, though. I think you're being called out, you getting called somewhere. They've taken you out somewhere probably remote before to try to get you to be taken, but they can honestly take you wherever. But it does seem like they don't want to fly these things right over neighborhoods most of the time. But the MyLab thing, is something I've been curious about. What is our military working with? Maybe they are not our crafts, but we have military personnel on them and some joint effort.
That could be. We got a Space Force out there already. It's
right.
We just announced it. So it's been there for a long time.
That's what I've thought too. And other abductees' experiences seeing people, humanoids, humans, not Aryans or Nordic or anything like that, but look like regular humans in like weird, like tan or orange uniforms and stuff like that on these ships. Makes me wonder, are we in some kind of joint force relationship with the aliens, or one particular alien race versus another? I mean, we haven't got into the fact that, there could be multiple different factions here fighting amongst themselves. We don't know, a secret war.
Right. They said that the reptilians were fighting against the Nordics, and they actually chased them off the planet for a while. The reptilians are known to be warlike, and they're supposed to be really intelligent, but they sure are ugly, and I don't like seeing them. Like I said, I've seen one, and I've seen this other one in the film, and I don't like it. It scared me. It's really spooky. So I hope I run into more. Actually, I had the Shadow Man actually in this house. He was here, and I got pictures of him moving about, and he pokes his head in the camera lens, and he bounces back real quick, and he gets away from it. I got pictures in sequence where he does this, and so
you've seen him like it's like a void of all light, darker than dark shadow.
Yeah, it's a shadow that actually darkens the wall, and it's the head. Yeah. The head is kind of thin, elongated head.
Oh my God! See, that's the 7-foot tall one that I saw when I was playing awake outside my parents' house, smoking a cigarette. Sorry, Mom. I saw it walk up to me, and I call it the similar theme when people talk about the Hat Man. I'm like, this thing looked like it had it could have like a stovetop hat, but really it was just one long head that went up.
Yeah, elongated head. I got pictures of this thing in my house in the past several weeks. And I saw the shadow of it. It poked its head around the stairwell, and it backed off real quick. But the camera got him. So he was playing. He was playing with the camera. So it's weird. It's not my head, because my head's big and round. It's not. His is elongated, and it's weird. And he could be part of the Michelin Man alien type.
I'm going to have to look more into this Michelin Man thing. I think I've heard of it, but never understood it so much. But now I'm interested in that. I've never had that experience of seeing something like that, but I'm still looking at my shadow person experience, and for a long time looked at it as totally a paranormal entity I don't understand, but I've really looking deep into maybe its connections to something alien. Just from the incredible experiences I went through with it.
Right.
What its purpose is, I only thing I could say was psychologically testing every aspect of fear and anxiety it could lay on a human being.
Well,
what I went through.
Yeah, it probably draws energy from you.
That's what it felt like. It fed off of it.
Yeah, they feed off of fear sometimes. Ghosts are drawn into a building, or into like if you have 4 or 5 ghost hunters in a building. Guess what? Their minds are all thinking about seeing a ghost. There's energy there, and the ghost taps into that energy and shows up. So there you go. I mean, it's all about energy. It's all about dimensional. It's all about magnetic energy, electrical energy. So it's a mixed bag of things. I mean,
have you heard of the God helmet experiments?
Yeah, I have. Yes.
The guy report, the science, I can't think of the name or anything on that right now, but I remember reading about the God helmet experience. The guy's like, can people even experience alien abduction kind of like experiences, or see aliens when they're wearing the God helmet? And this must explain the whole abduction experience. I'm like, no. What I've always thought about that is when he's done this with people that suddenly have this alien abduction experience wearing the God helmet, is maybe he's triggering memories they already had.
Right.
That he's giving them the same kind of like similar dosage of magnetics that they received during their abduction experience, and it triggers their mind to open up to it.
That's what they were doing. But the thing with all that, that's mind control too, is what they're doing with that God helmet.
Yes.
But they're planting a seed. It's just like a hypnotist. Whenever they interview an experiencer, an abductee, what happens when they first start off, they're actually planting a seed that this person was abducted. So guess what? When they're under hypnosis, that's the first thing they're going to think about. They were abducted.
Expectation.
Yeah, and their minds are going to start, traveling 100 miles an hour. So yeah, you got to be careful not planting a seed in anything that happens, or if it's a real seed, something that you see live, like a UFO or an alien, and if you see it in a conscious state, then you're allowed to have regressed dreams, because that's where you're going to pick up the rest of your knowledge.
I've been a bit fearful of doing regression on my experiences. I've had past life regression done, and I know people can do regression for me if they want to do it, but I've been afraid to do it, to be honest.
Well,
because I don't know if I trust what I'll see, because the seed's planted,
Yeah, well, Jason, what you have to do, it comes to you like in a deep sleep. You can get those regressed lucid dreams in a deep sleep on your own. That's where I got them. I couldn't be hypnotized. I went to hypnosis, a person here just south of me. And actually it turned out she was really good. She's been in the field for a long time. I laid in the couch. You ever heard of the towels hum, the hum that the people hear? Well, I hear that hum also. I was in her office laying on the couch. She was at her desk, and she tried to put me out, and I couldn't, because the noise got louder and louder as she was trying to talk me down from 10 down to 1. And I wasn't out. I turned around and I looked at her. She was out. She was completely out at her desk. I had to shake her 3 times to wake her up she put herself under. It backfired from me to her. And she got up and she goes, "Oh man," she said, "that ship that you saw." I said, "Yeah, what is it?" She said, "That's the Rapture." I said, "That's what you saw? You were asleep, I said, "I wasn't asleep."
Yeah.
She said, "Okay, no charge." So I don't believe in hypnosis, really, tell you the truth.
I believe it has its results. It can be beneficial, but yeah, there's a lot of questionable things to it. I don't know if I trust it to reveal stuff to me. I have a very active imagination. I don't know if I trust it under that state. If it's just, if I'm really seeing, all I can go back to is remembering some of the very lucid, vivid dreams I had over the years that relate back to one of my this camping trip I had after it. And
that's what
the connections are.
You need to
and physical marks I woke up with.
Yeah.
Things along those lines that like I said, how did I look past these things?
Yeah. You need to tap into your own regressions. That's the best way, safest way, I think.
Well, it's a danger too, I think, for some people. I've had people ask, well, what about the other person that was involved in this camping trip? I'm like, I don't even want to approach him to it, because he's got his life. He seems fine. If it turns out I hitched a ride with somebody as an alien abductee, I'm not the one to reveal it to him. Yeah. I think there can be a danger for some abductees to suddenly have it revealed. There's a chance of losing your mind to it.
Well, yeah, I think your other buddies probably don't even know what happened to them, and they probably forgot years ago.
Right.
So it's probably not going to bother them at all, But I got my friend and we've been through this first experience together, but he's not comprehending he hasn't had any experiences after that. You would think he would, but he didn't. So it's some reason, some kind of a signal, some DNA.
They picked you up and he was just along for the ride.
Yes. They haven't bothered him ever since. So
that's what I wonder.
Yeah.
See, I have Cherokee Indian in my line. Now, I know there's other things people talk about being RH negative,
right?
Bloodline. I'm not that, but I the only thing I can think of is being Cherokee Indian. And on that side of the family, I don't know very much. That side of the family is pretty screwed up. My father took off when I was young. He always seemed like he was running from something. I'd love to talk to him just to find out, what he was running from, but you wonder about how it follows people through their generations of past. I would love to know, what you've discovered about your family. I know it's a lot and we only got 9 minutes left, but some of the interesting things you discovered with your other family members, how this relates.
Yeah. My mom, she told me some stories that, I don't like to call them stories. I like to call them events or experiences, because stories sounds like,
made up
science fiction. Yeah. So, but she told me that she's been actually molested in bed. And from these, it was a tall, thin figured person. And there was one who showed up like dressed in 1950s clothes, like jeans and a cut off shirt or something. She saw one night approach her, because she's probably basically from that era, and she remembers that that type of thing. So they probably mask themselves to her memory. But she said that she's been touched. She woke up in the middle of the night and she saw something was totally gold that was shining in the middle of the hallway. And she's had a lot of experiences. And actually, when I told her I've got these pictures that I've gotten the last 6 weeks. Here is a lady, 92 years old, and she was worried for me because she knows what this is all about. She called me one day, and I didn't talk to her. She called me. She said, "Are you all right, Dave?" I said, "Yeah, I'm fine, Mom. Are you thinking about that reptilian that I got a picture of?" She goes, "Yeah." She said, "That scares me." She said, "I know the UFOs are involved with you, ETs." And she said, "I'm kind of scared for you." I said, "It's okay, Mom." I said, "Don't worry about it." So now I call her every day since we got this, sleep in type of thing,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's great for the alien abductions.
Yeah.
They get all the people in one spot. They know right where to find everybody right now to be abducted. And Paranormal Soup is not responsible for alien abductions that happen tonight.
Yeah.
By the way.
Matter of fact, a lot of people who's talked to me, I've had neighbors who've seen things around my house in Godfrey. I had a neighbor tell me that there was a conical shaped light in my backyard. It was really bright. And he didn't tell me for a month. I don't know why these people don't tell me these things right away, but they wait for a month or whatever because they think I'm going to be afraid. Then my other neighbors said they heard a noise and a lot of lights in the back of my yard and their yard. And they said they were so afraid they hid under their beds. I said, "Why didn't you look outside and see what it was?" They said, "We were afraid to." And they said it was probably near your house. It was must have been a craft or something. And then my brother-in-law, my sister, saw a man in black standing in a field right behind my yard, and he had a long black coat and a black cap on. He was tall, and my brother-in-law, and God bless his soul too, he passed away also the past several years, but he was a real big skeptic. I mean, he wouldn't believe anything, but he saw this man in black. He told me that the next day, he said, "Dave, I have to admit it. I did see something weird back in behind your yard." He said it was a man in black, and my sister saw it and my mom saw it because they went down to pick her up, and that she saw it at a different angle. And they said it was a man out there, and the storm was kind of brewing, and it was blowing around his jacket. So there's things that other people have seen around me and that I haven't seen.
Right. I mean, that's incredible. Especially, I mean, all these different things that coalesce together. The black-eyed children deal. I think you've experienced. The man in black. The shadow person experiences. All these scenes where it's like you said, it's a puzzle. We're trying to put together a puzzle and trying to understand where do these pieces fit. How much do you think you're putting that puzzle together?
I don't have the answers. I don't think anybody does. Everything I hear is theory. Everybody has an opinion. I have personal experience opinions. They're not really opinions; they're facts to me and to a lot of people that were witnesses to me and people who've seen things around me. They know that I'm true. What I'm saying. I'm honest. I wouldn't be telling lies at this age. I wouldn't be doing this. But I want I want the experiencers to come out and talk about it. Quit being afraid. We have a lot of talking heads out there who take these stories and make them their own, and they go around talking circuit and everything. And they're taking the work of these experiencers. They're taking things from them, and they're not even they're not the experiencer. And the little lowly experiencer doesn't get any credit for anything. And they need to come forward and tell the truth, just like you, Jason. You take your expressions and do them, and just do them yourself in your deep sleep, and you'll remember them. If they're really true lucid regressions, you will not have to write them down. I can bet you on that. You will never forget them. Lucid dream.
Well, the ones the like about 5 main experiences, some that I wrote off as dreams. I'd never forgot them. I just, like I said, compartmentalized them and looked away from them. But I could look right back at them and remember them. They were very vivid. Yeah. And but I'm still confused of what they were, what I experienced. I mean, I had one where I felt I was taken, and they were taking stuff out of my lungs when I was a heavy smoker. Oh, I'm not joking. I seriously did. And it was when I was really sick, and I woke up the next day and it was gone. It's like they put this thing down my throat. I was choking, and I say I've never even talked about this on the show. And I mean, I remember the feeling of it all. I remember the panic and the struggle and the fear, and them like telling me it's gonna be all right. We're getting rid of this stuff. You need to stop smoking. It was literally one of the alien dreams I had.
Yeah.
It took me many years later to still quit smoking, and then I still vape, but I was addicted. And it's like the aliens even were telling me not to. This is the kind of experiences I was having that I just wrote off this weird dream. But now I reflect back on it, I go,
yeah.
Yeah.
Think about it. Think about those things. And I was healed one time right during that same 2011 year. I thought I had pneumonia and I had the flu and my lungs were totally congested. I couldn't even really breathe. I went to the doctor the next morning. But before that, about 10:30 at night, when I laid there in bed, wisping and trying to, get rid of this cough, and something shocked my finger. It felt like it blew it off. I wasn't near anything electrical. And that's the next morning, the doctor didn't see anything in the x-ray. So,
wow.
Yeah. So they have a healing. They will heal you.
Like I said, I think the other problem, with experiencers coming together is there might be different. We might be talking about different aliens taking different there could be whole other factions we don't understand.
Right.
One faction's taking people in a very rough, brutal, abusive way, and another faction's taking people in more of a contactee way, more of a pleasant experience, I guess.
Yeah, women and men also differ when it comes to abductions, because women have to go through more of almost a surgical routine to remove the eggs. If they're going to take the eggs from a woman and replant them into a hybrid, well, that's more of a big procedure. And
right.
And also the woman having a child and then the child being taken away. Yeah, that's more of a procedure for a woman. But for us men, you got this hose that's kind of, I guess it's electronically devised to make you, I guess, go. And then they take the semen sample and they got it in the bag and they take it, they're gone. So that's all they have to do with a man. And they may take a little blood or they may take a skin scrape or something for DNA. But that's basically it. But a woman,
or send down a hot looking alien chick.
I don't want to be one of those. It's past time. So I did have alien sex one time.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's easy for guys. So you had this kind of experience like your friend did.
No. I was. This is a regressed lucid dream. Gotcha. I ended up in this spaceship. It was all metal. It's stainless steel walls. It's all. Every time I see they're clean. Somebody said they were dirty. I said no. I've never seen a dirty one. I've seen them really sparkly, clean, shiny metal. And I had this. They seemed like a senior guy, a humanoid. He motioned me to go towards this woman who was laying under a white blanket. Like she had long dark hair, and I saw his arm. He had blue patches on his arm, like he was a blue alien hybrid. Like, he still had the blue patches, and he was, I guess he was half Caucasian, half blue alien. He led me to this girl, and I knew what to do. He was talking to me telepathically. I laid there, and it felt like sex. And then I got back up, and then he led me to this hallway. That's always this hallway about 5 feet wide, and it's about 8 feet tall. It's just a narrow hallway. You walk down it, and what you do is you disappear, and it teleports you back.
Wow. So much more we haven't been able to get into. We're at the end of the show. Stranger, is it The Strange Truth is the name of your radio show?
Strange Truth on Thursday nights on K-Core out of Las Vegas. But I'm a host there, and I don't talk about a lot of my experiences. I may counter a little bit with the person and tell them, yeah, I've had the same experience. But when the guest is on, I don't do all that talk, and I'm the host. But
I'd love to have you back on, Dave. It's the end of the show. We definitely should get you back on, especially we can show videos and pictures next time if you want to share. And there's so much more we can get into. But thank you so much, Dave, for being on the show.
Thank you.
Next week, we will be back with a returning guest, Carol Oldley, medium. She did such an excellent job doing readings for people calling in the show. We're going to have her back on. She's only going to be on for about an hour and a half, and then we're going to have open lines, and we might do some spirit box after her segment of the show. So next next week, next Sunday. A little bit of mediumistic readings and some open line spirit box probably. All right, guys. See you next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Check us out also on Patreon. $2 a month helps pay the bills for the show. Can do things like StreamYard and show your comments. All right, guys. We will be back in 1 week. Enjoy your quarantine till then. All right, guys. See you later.
Great show, Jason.
Thank you, Dave.